Good morning, good morning, good morning.
There goes the neighborhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's gone by. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Well, there goes the neighborhood. Good morning, everybody, and how you doing? Come closer without getting on cam, so we can hear you and we can hear your wonderful noises that you're making.
I'm not saying anything, and you got my arm.
I got your arm. Oh, well, yeah, you can get your arm and everything, but you have to be near. Actually, you're good near this.
I have the frog voice, David. I can't speak.
Oh, well, have your tea. Where's your tea?
On the floor.
Oh,
I can't
cool.
reach it. It's okay.
Poor Joyce.
And I have to pee-pee, so we got a whole mess. We got a whole mess of stuff going on.
Good thing. Well, let me know when you got to do that. I'll do the sponsors and stuff like that, so you can go, come back. We'll do Midtown. We'll talk about.
I'm fine. I can make it. I'm going to try to make it through.
Well, by the way, making it through with us on this Saturday are, oh my goodness, let's see who's with us so far. Tony, welcome, Tony, and thanks for liking. I go through doing little like things when we promote the show. Thanks so much.
That's awesome, Tony.
And by the way, I'm probably coming to New York for a while.
Ask Tony if anyone called him Tony the Tiger. Is he of that generation or too young?
No, I know him.
Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, he knows
Remember
who Tony
the Tiger?
He's still the spokesperson for Kellogg's
I don't know anymore.
cornflakes.
I think he's politically incorrect now.
No, this is Tony the theater guy. This is Tony.
So we could call him Tony the Theater Tiger.
Tony, yeah, the Tiger. No, I don't know.
I don't like those hybrid words that aren't real. It makes me nervous. Yeah.
Anyway, welcome Tony and welcome Melissa and welcome.
How about this? El Tigre.
Tony. Well, what's Italian?
El Tigre is the name of the Spanish radio station out here.
Right, but what is Italian for Tigre?
I don't know.
Might be Tigre as well.
I don't know.
Because with his name, I'm assuming that he's...
Don't assume, because you know what it does to you.
It makes an ass of you and me. Thank you, Felix Unger. Anyway, welcome to Melissa and Raymond and Princess. What a great name. And John and Bill.
You told me I was a princess.
You're a converted Jewish American princess. That kind of works. Yeah. And don't I treat you like a princess always?
Whatever.
That is a Jewish American princess noise, isn't it? Yeah. What am I? I'm not even a duke. What the hell am I?
Who else? I can't read this small
I'm a Jewish American serf, essentially. No. So far we have a few people watching. Hopefully we'll have a lot more. Ooh. Thank you for the thumbs up, Tony.
Tony.
Well, Michael, welcome to Michael and Bill. So here's the deal. We always have a great show. Every broadcaster says that. We have a great show for you today. We do.
No, your guest is, I think, going to be very interessante.
Very, very fun guest in the neighborhood today. We have someone who is... I know. I'm going to say this, and you're going to go, bleh. I'm going to say he's a life coach, motivational speaker. And you're going to be like, okay.
Is it me?
No, it's not you, Potato.
Yes.
You're a catch-up-tational speaker, Mr. Potato. Okay. So, but we have a lot about potatoes today. I'm just saying.
Oh,
but our guest is really funny, really lively. He was a radio host many years ago. He is now a podcaster still. He's also an author. And what else is he?
Does he write? Yeah. Does he write about, what are his books about?
Well, he wrote a book. His book. Now, this is a man. This is the great part.
Yeah.
He's a life coach, motivational, making people feel good about themselves.
Get your stuff together kind of guy, yeah.
So he wrote a book.
Yeah.
And the book shares the same title as his podcast.
Yeah.
And the name of both the book and the podcast is Surrounded by Idiots. Isn't that marvelous?
That's kind of negative.
I know, of course.
So my daily mantra is that I will protect myself from negative energy, but also give positive energy to the people around me. So share the energy. That's kind of negative energy.
That's sort of a negative energy.
Just FYI.
I don't think he'll explain it that way, but that's one of the things that attracted me.
Yeah, but maybe when you say that, it means you're defensive. Like, oh, I'm surrounded by idiots. You're not taking personal responsibility. That's probably what it means.
I think that's where this conversation might go. Now, I won't be talking to this fella. His name is Tony Dufresne.
Another Tony.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. Tony's listening to Tony
Remember the band
today.
Tony Tone?
Yeah. Was it the third one was different?
Yes.
Tony.
Of course. Of course.
So, Tony Dufresne will be with us in the neighborhood talking to, not me, but Rabbi Saul Solomon, of course, who is his own anti-motivational speaker.
Who needs the most help, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
The most interventional help, yes.
No, it's funny. Rabbi Saul, the other day, he felt, oh my God, I'm surrounded by idiots. And he was in the fun house in a hall of mirrors. So it was kind of...
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's going to be great fun to talk to Tony Dufresne on Dave's Gone By. Oh, and by the way, welcome to Drew and Nancy. Welcome, and good morning to you, Nancy. And to Kathleen. I don't think we've heard from her before, but welcome to Kathleen.
Wonder if
hello.
Maybe she's a Kathy or a Katie. Some Kathleens do Katie, Kathy, Kat. I actually heard Kat, which I like, the name Kat.
I think hers is actually Moish.
No, her name is not Moish.
It might be. Her Hebrew name might be Moish.
Hey, Nancy.
People are giving me balloons, and Stefan said hello, and Tony again, and Nancy's like, oh, hi, Joyce.
Nancy.
Yay. Welcome to all of you, and you're going to have a fabulous time hearing Tony Dufresne talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon later in the show. Kathleen is Kathy, she says.
Oh, awesome.
And her middle name is Lal.
No, that's laughing out loud.
Oh, okay, there you go.
You're not up with the new lingo of the kids. Yeah.
It's TMIS, too much information stuff.
There you go. Yeah. That's the new one. Yep.
I've got that slang down,
you do.
baby.
You're hip like a whippersnapper.
Oh, yeah. And you know what?
What?
I am DTB. I am down to broadcast.
The other joke, I used the word hullabaloo yesterday.
Really?
I said,
what context?
I don't want to get involved in that hullabaloo, and people laughed. I was like, isn't that a common word amongst the youngsters? Hullabaloo. What is it?
It hasn't been a common word amongst the youngsters since 1937. Hullabaloo. I love the word. It's a fabulous word.
It's like mishigas, or it's like rambunctiousness. It's got that kind of hullabaloo. It's like the chaoticness.
Yeah, I think there was even a TV show called Hullabaloo. I might be confusing it with Hootenanny, the folk show. I'm serious. But I do think there was a TV show called Hullabaloo. But, oh my God, Tammy from my high school. Tammy, hello, welcome. And welcome to everybody watching in the neighborhood on this Saturday morning, July 7th, 2018. Kathleen said 1960s was Hullabaloo. It was a dance program, wasn't it? Hullabaloo was like an American bandstand thing. That's it.
I don't know. I don't know why it came to my mind, but I thought when things are chaotic, it's like a hullabaloo. I mean, that's like very, hullabaloo-y. It's like...
Nancy is letting us know. It was a TV show from either the 60s or the 50s, but that's what I think it was. It was pre-Dick Clark or same era of just get up there, teenagers dance.
I went deep into the Jungian stream of consciousness for that one. I did. Because I'm just not that smart. Yeah.
Hey, and welcome to Lynn. And yes, Nancy says there was a show called Hullabaloo and Hootenanny as well. Was there any, let's see, was there a show called Mishigas? That would be a great show.
Soul Train, remember?
Soul Train. It's a love train, a soul train, a love train. Yeah, that's...
See if we have a kissing song.
There's going to be a klezmer train. Rabbi Saul would love that. Get on the klezmer train, feel guilty, have a sore hip. That'd be a
that's
Jewish
your life,
soul.
Honey. That's your life.
Exactly.
That's your morning. That was your morning.
Jewish soul train, the host would just get up there and complain.
And then they'd have to put words together, like things that their parents called them, like you're a failure.
Wait, you're playing music on TV. What, you're not a doctor?
Yeah, yes. I heard that Ethel Finkelstein's son is an orthopedic surgeon.
I hear your show has an accountant. Maybe you could do that. Get someone else to host. It's something you can fall back on. All right, let's play some music already. Shindig. That's right, Shindig, Kathleen reminds us.
Shindig, that's a good one.
And welcome, Kathleen, from Hollywood, or Kathy, as she says, from Hollywood, California, to Nate and a couple of other... Oh my God, we have 14 comments already. I can't read them all,
good
which
Lord.
is wonderful.
You can't
welcome.
You can't read English, honey.
Me read English, not good, bad?
No, here you go.
Where's my notes? I need my notes. So anyway, by the way, here's the book that this fella did.
He's very cute.
Oh, he's a good-looking guy, and he works out a lot.
He's a very attractive man, yes.
Yes, he is. His name is Tony Dufresne. Notice he puts PhD by his name, so people take him seriously.
Let me see. Oh,
so that's him.
Look at him. He's doing that funny face look.
I beg your pardon?
Like,
Oh, what else are we going to be doing on the radio program today? Oh, and welcome to David. Speaking of friends I know from high school and probably junior high as
look
well.
at this. There's a thing called goals, suck, and puppy power.
Oh, puppy power.
And the millennial fix. He says puppy power, how thinking like a dog can instantly make you more likable.
I don't know. I think like a dog is, how do I get food from you?
Where can I pee? You gotta smell people's butts.
That could make you more popular in certain sections of Greenwich Village, I'll tell you. Anywho.
Maybe on Shindig.
Or hullabaloo. Actually, those are two of the words in that great sketch done by the Vestibules.
Oh, I love
Bulbous Bouffant.
I love Vestibule. Look, we can do like a disco.
Remember Bulbous Bouffant? Shindig and hullabaloo were both words in that classic
Vestibule.
Bulbous Bouffant
We use
sketch.
Vestibule too.
Yeah.
We use
and also tuberculosis, which was
I worked
sketch.
for the Bureau of TB. You don't want to say tuberculosis too much.
Well, I watched too much TV. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I watched it for too long. Too long.
You're lobular.
Anyway, this is the 658th episode of the Dave's Gone By show. We're calling it Fresneship, Fresneship, because I have to actually spell out all my jokes so people get them. Also on the program, Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We'll go inside Broadway for news of the Rialto.
I gotta get clapping.
Well, I've had the clap before. It wasn't fun. Colorado Limerick of the Damned. A new one. We'll be talking about Bayfield. So we'll have a poem for you about Bayfield, Colorado. We'll have a Saturday segue of songs in the news. I promise you, we will have another gripping installment of A Cow for Hansel. Yep. And what else? And the return, after several weeks, of Potato News. So Potato News is back. We have tons of Potato News. Potato is very excited about this.
Listen how this sounds now. Listen.
Yeah. Oh, he has more modulation now. Yeah, she's going in there. She's more singing it. I'm worried we're going to lose that battery. Oh, dear.
Well, the other ones are dead. This works.
Anyway, welcome to Mary and Gina and Glynis and so many cool people. Thank you for your comments. Kathleen is now...
Listen, I think we should call Glynis Lynn. That would be a nickname for Glynis.
Well, why not call her Linus?
No, because Lynn. I think Lynn would be like her
but that's not her name.
That could be her stage name.
Okay, Glynis, are you okay with your stage name being Lynn? And Gina, can we call you G?
G, no.
What? Mary?
No, we call her Na.
Na.
Gina could be Na.
How about Mary? Yeah.
Ma. Hey, Ma.
Hey, Ma.
Hey, Ma.
And my friend from high school, he's also David, which is really confusing.
David.
Oh, that'd be nice.
We call him D2 for David II.
I like that.
D2.
That's cool. And by the way, I was mistaken. Kathy was from California. Now she's in Las Vegas. So wherever you are, I heard it was... I just spoke to our old friend Jeff Goodman this week, who's doing okay.
Good. Is he in Vegas?
He's not in Vegas. He's hoping to move to Vegas at some point in a bit. But he's done some stuff, good stuff.
Tell Kathleen, you know who lives there, Kathy? Ron from the Jersey Shore and DJ Pauly.
They both live in Vegas.
Yeah, they both live in Las Vegas. She might know them.
Viva Las Vegas. But what she does know is that it was like 110 there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal there this time of year. So, rather okay here. Warm, but manageable here in Greeley, Colorado, where we do the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream with my friends Potatoes, my darling adorable wife Joyce. Yay! So before we get to Greeley Crimes and Old Times and Potato News, what do we have to talk about this week? We have to, how was our 4th of July?
Well, I would like to say that we stayed up very late for us 11:30 and we played Scrabble.
Yeah. You have to understand, folks, I'm an English adjunct, English professor,
Kathy
a writer.
said it was hot.
Oh, I've heard of them, never met... No, okay. Yes, it's very, 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 very hot here now. Oh, dear. Okay. That's a lot of berries. Yeah. They don't even have room on the weather map when they show the berries. It's like they show 108. Very, very, very,
it's too damn hot.
Yeah, that's their Doppler. It's their Doppler Very 4000.
Wow. You should have been a weatherman.
What a fabulous name. I'm not going to say this person's whole name, but her first name is Gigi. Welcome,
I would call her?
Gigi. What?
Giggy.
Oh.
Your nickname should be Giggy. It'd be lovely.
Well, welcome, Gigi, to the neighborhood on this Saturday, July 7th. There's Kathleen with her loll again. Okay, she's lolling about. But 4th of July. No, I was explaining that I'm a reasonably intelligent person. I know nothing of math, science, history,
Astronomy,
it's all out of my head. Oh, God, no. Or
Physics your fave.
Physics disaster. I have some facility with logos, with words.
Oh,
putting words
David
together.
is excellent. He won a script writing award for language.
I did. I won a best script award at the
award-winning writer.
True. Great. And I'm teaching English composition here at
But
this
that's
university.
different than using words like M-E-M.
I know.
Those are not Scrabble. Listen, I'm just telling all you people, Scrabble words are not real. They're not real. E-M is not a word.
Hey, what was that word we had? It was mean. It was a word I never heard of.
I don't remember.
Meme. That we were playing Scrabble with two of our friends, the wonderful Friendy.
I don't know what it was, but Wendy would remember. She's smart.
I had to ask twice what the meaning was, and now I still don't remember either the meaning or the word. And it was a real word. It was a perfectly good word.
It was a Scrabble word, and they're not real.
They are, unfortunately.
I think the person who made the Scrabble dictionary was high on the ganja.
I think so.
Like,
too.
let me make a word. E-H. That's a good word.
No, he was probably a friend of either Merriam or Webster, and said, "Look,
Yes.
I've invented this game.
Challenge, right?
If I beat you in arm wrestling, will you make these words next year? Will you allow them?"
Crazy.
So it bothers me that I cannot win at Scrabble.
But listen, David, tell them our friend made beautiful,
I beg your pardon?
what do you call it? Oh,
Poops?
Kathy mentioned Scrabble in her book.
Oh, what? Tell us what book that is. And speaking of books, welcome Karen, librarian, where I used to work.
Library lady. Woohoo.
Hi, library lady.
Librarians are hot.
Yeah, I totally agree.
We
she
had
made a beautiful what? The
corn
Mexican
thing, yeah.
They were enchiladas.
No.
They weren't. They were the other thing. They
Oh,
were
my God.
lomatils. They were.
Tostada.
They were.
Wrapped in corn.
Yes,
They were
Huskeritos.
delicious.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
mean, we had a
God.
lovely
Hot
all-American
pepper.
Mexican meal. It was North
Yes,
America.
yes. Maize.
I was
Corn,
amazed
corn,
by it.
yes.
Corn, no, we're tortillas.
Tamale.
That's it. Thank you. No, actually, we had them a couple of days ago. We probably won't have them tamale. We'll eat something else tamale. That's comedy right there. See, I am good with words. Kathleen wrote a book called Guiding Kathy, A True Story. Well, there you go. And Scrabble is mentioned somewhere in that book. So there we go. And welcome to Scott also, and Karen and all our friends of the neighborhood. So, okay, Scrabble night with our friends. We had
awesome.
yummy Mexican meal for dinner, but it was great.
Yes.
We weren't hurt or anything, but
we
it was
walked.
annoying with the fireworks.
Well, we walked quite a bit. I got a sunburn. We went
yeah.
and met our music friend who's beautiful.
No, that was earlier in the day.
Yeah.
But later in the day, it's kind of funny. I belong to this next door neighborhood thing.
Tell them what
it's
it's
a
like a
webs-
local book, like a
Yeah.
local group, right?
There's a posting online where
David, I'll
all
be
the
back
folks
in
in
a
this
second.
neighborhood, in this area, they're kind of, it's a microcosm in a way of what Facebook does, where it's people who live in Greeley and nearby Greeley talk to each other. It's like if they're trying to sell something, hey, my roof has hail damage, can you recommend somebody who does this, or someone who can fix a kitchen countertop, or invariably, twice a day, it's a lost dog or a found dog. Somebody loses a dog, somebody finds a dog, unfortunately it's never the same dog, and they post on this and they're trying to coordinate with everybody. And there was a guy there who was like, "Dear asshats," this is how he opened his message on our next door neighborhood thing. "Dear asshats who set off fireworks locally on 4th of July, let me tell you that both I and my dog have PTSD. So we sit there, the dog is cowering and peeing itself all night long, and I was in a war fighting for this country, and every time a firecracker goes off, I jump out of my skin. You know, if you're going to do firecrackers, go where it's locally sanctioned. Don't be these." And I rail against this every year, because I've hated firecrackers since I was a kid. And, Kathleen asks, where do we grow up? I'm a Brooklyn kid. I was born in Brooklyn, lived there until I was 12. And 4th of July terrified me. I hated it, and firecrackers they seemed louder back then. I don't know why. Maybe because in Brooklyn the buildings are all close to each other, so the reverberations of things like M80s are louder and more startling and sharp. But, oh boy, I got my fingers in my ears. Even when I got a bit older, what I would do from about, as soon as the sun went down, I'd just go in my room with headsets on, and I'd crank up whatever music I was listening to, hence the deafness in this ear, and try to avoid it that way. Because it isn't so much the loudness, it's the startling out of the blue noise that always gets me. I hate it in the theater. I'm always terrified of gunshots. I don't mean real ones. Everybody's terrified of being shot to death in a theater. Aside from that, Mrs. Lincoln, how'd you enjoy the play? But the just even fake gunshots, the caps, the noises that they use. I'm like, when's it coming? Oh God! I literally almost go into not a fugue state, but this heightened panic, neurotic, absolutely phobic state over a noise that's over in 1/10 of a second, and still I hate it. I can't deal with it. I've gotten better for no particular reason with fireworks. I don't like them, but I don't mind them so much unless they're really ridiculous, sound like a bomb going off. But there are people who are like me when I was back in my 20s, and certainly anybody coming out of a war, anybody who served in Vietnam or Iraq or wherever, is sitting in their house, and suddenly they hear outside their window in the dark, pa, 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 pa. They have to feel that the Vietnamese are attacking, or North Korea or somewhat. But our neighbors had that, when we were hanging with them on 4th of July, while we're trying to eat a nice meal, we're just sitting there, and then outside the window, pam, pam, it's like gunshots going off. And I was bothered by it. I know our hostess was pretty upset by it. She was not happy, and they had trouble sleeping the whole rest of the night.
It happens.
I don't know why people feel the need. What is it? The pretty ones I get.
It's called pyromania. Pyromania, come on.
But I can understand wanting to set off something that shows beautiful, pretty colors in the sky. I get that. But just make a noise. Why is this enticing to anybody? What is so exciting about lighting something and hearing it go boom?
It's the forbidden, forbidden. You're not supposed to, so therefore it's exciting.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Kathy says that there was a scare last night in town square of Las Vegas of a possible gun going. Oh, that's every night in Las Vegas. That's just somebody who lost $8,000 and is standing in his hotel room going,
That's sad.
It is. But we had a good 4th of July anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll talk later, but we can also talk about the most magnificent thing. He is the champion, my friend, and he'll keep on eating. Oh, I can't hit the notes today. He'll keep on eating till the end. Yes, Joey Chestnut, the man. Joey Chestnut. And I was so ticked off because we'd gone for a walk and we ran around the neighborhood, and I wanted to see the Nathan's hot dog eating championship, like 103rd iteration.
Preface it by tell them we don't know how to use half of the stuff on our TV.
What we had was we figured, because this usually works, when you leave a channel on and you leave it playing, you can just roll it back. So we went for a walk, and I figured, okay, we'll come home, and I'll watch on tape delay. I'll watch it an hour later. No big deal. I want to see this man stuffing his face.
We also made a bet, which I'm suffering the consequences of.
Yeah, a little bit. So we come home, and I roll the TV back, and what do you know? It rolls back only to the show that started after the hot dog eating contest on ESPN2.
And what does it do? And the crawl tells you the winner, to which you scream out expletives.
Yeah, because this is like when people who work night shifts or stuff, I've heard them talk about this back in the day, when they couldn't watch the Met game live from 7 o'clock until 11.
Why would they want to watch a Met game?
Exactly, true. But what happened? Back in the day, like Channel 9, I mean, we're going back a few years, would rerun the Met broadcast at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So people coming home, or people at night shifts, if they didn't want to know, they didn't have to look at a newspaper. It was before the interwebs.
Yeah.
If they didn't watch the news, they say, let's go watch the Met game and root and not know the outcome.
Yeah.
Now, you can't look anywhere without finding everything that's happened, every score. So we're rolling back the TV. The TV crawl says, Joey Chestnut won. Like, son of a bitch. Because I just wanted to come, and I couldn't even watch it. Then I had to wait for ESPN to rerun it, which they did.
And the other thing, ran late,
later.
Remember, ran like 10 or 15 minutes late.
Well, because there was that amazing counting discrepancy.
Cornhole.
Oh, they also had the cornhole. Yes. This is July 4th is the best day in America, not because of the independence, not because of freedom and capitalism and whatever else you love about this country, but because on TV you can watch hot dog eating competitions followed by cornholing. And I mean this in the G-rated sense of the word. People tossing bean bags. It's a glorified. It's a glory cornhole. It's a glorified version of
bean toss.
Bean toss and not shuffleboard. It's that one where you.
It's not
horseshoes almost.
No, because you got a bean bag. Horseshoes are metal.
But horseshoes, you try and get
like
around the thing.
Tic-tac-toe used to play. Remember, you used to play tic-tac-toe like that with bean bags as a kid.
Yes.
Yeah. That's probably what it's taken its leap from.
So they had a cornholing championship. I swear to you, and there was literally 8 people in the stands watching. If you think curling gets low viewership, at least in the stands at the Olympics, you should watch
cornholing.
And these are the championships, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not the local regionals.
No.
These are the cornhole champions. There's like 5 people.
I think someone had their granny, their aunt, and their mom, and then I think they had some people who were on work release,
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The William Faulkner Invitational Cornhole competition, ladies and gentlemen. But, but I did get to see.
What?
I did watch the magnificent Joey Chestnut. He is a god. And I had dark feelings about this early on because he didn't seem to really want it when we were interviewing him before the competition. And he seemed like, okay, I'm going to do this, and it's just about the eating, and he's, he's into it, but he's not really. He doesn't have the fire.
He didn't have like the how the fighters of the weigh-in they do like the dirty talk. They're like, "You're lame. I'm gonna kick your butt." He didn't have that kind of smack talk.
Literally, the fire in his belly. He didn't seem to have it.
Maybe he was saving the energy for vomiting up those 7-something hot dogs.
And yet,
I know.
He was just, he was a monster.
Disgusting. It was disgusting.
It was beautiful. And you're watching it, and it's exciting, and it's thrilling, and he's almost lapping the other people in terms of like doubling their count. And then suddenly it was like, he's on record pace, and then 64 dogs at the end of the thing. And I'm like, wait a minute, okay, yay. Yeah. But he sure seemed to be doing a lot more than he won no matter what.
Yeah.
But 64, and then, no, there was a count problem.
I mean, how did,
And what happened was he actually ate 74 hot dogs, a world record, beating his previous thing by 2 full hot dogs, by the way. And they counted wrong. Apparently, people whose job it was to watch a man eat 74 hot dogs in 10 minutes were missing one of the plates.
Why don't you just count how many are left on the plate and then subtract? It would be easier.
Right?
Because they can't put it on their body or they can't put it anywhere.
I don't get. And thing is, even if you are watching like him picking stuff up off the plates, if they had not looked at one plate, his count would have been 32.
But maybe they just missed. Maybe at one point he was doing singles and he went to doubles.
Yeah, that could be. Could be. And by the way, congratulations also to Miki Sudo. She is the Japanese or Asian lady who won the women's hot dog eating championship. She was not remotely on pace of her own record. She had like 39. It was like, I mean, congratulations, she won. Well-deserved, but come on, 39. But Joey, 74.
He's a freak of nature.
God, but hey, I think it's the teeth. Because he has the weirdest teeth.
Yeah.
And every tooth is a different size or hangs down a different direction and level.
Might help.
I wonder, I think no teeth is like, if you could manage that. I don't know. Who was there? And I feel also really bad for Sinkagi.
I thought, what's the guy I thought was going to win?
That was, well, Sinkagi seemed like this challenger coming up. He wasn't even in the top 3.
Really?
But when they properly recounted, he was number 2. So that's why, if I were he, I might think of suing somebody. Because imagine you're in the middle of a competition. You think you're doing really well. But, you know, your eye is on the score, and you're watching the other guy.
So he was lowered, or?
He was rated. In other words, like Joey,
so his
count was lower than it should have been. And when his count was tallied properly, he had, I think, 60.
Whoa.
But the thing was, when he was doing it, it was in the 40s.
Yeah, but you can't go by the count. You just got to eat. You shouldn't look at the count.
I guess, but you do.
I wouldn't.
Oh, by the way, Fred, we're just, after we talked about 4th of July, Fred tunes in. Welcome, Fred. And welcome, Nika. And welcome to Tom. And all the cool folks who are watching in the neighborhood. As we're talking about, let's see, 4th of July. We're covering that. Oh, look, an otter. No, that's old. That's it.
They don't know.
You probably don't want to hear me complain about the bank, so I'll do that later. No, I'm going to complain. It'll take me less than 5. Well, this is something that gets my goat. It makes me mad. So a couple of weeks ago, Joyce and I, we have. It's not really a tzedakah box. It's a piggy bank sort of a thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm not really a great humanitarian, and it's not like we're swimming in money. So we're going to open the piggy bank and take whatever's in there and just deposit it. Yeah. Or spend it on something that we really need or want, right? We should spend it on charity, but it's not. It's not a tzedakah box. So we open the thing up, and out spill nickels, dimes, lots of pennies, and a bunch of quarters. Yay! So maybe we can go out to a nice lunch or something. Yeah, McDonald's. Buy, the Forgaflora our dog needs. So, just take that and... Yeah. So, out it spills, and I spend like an hour and a half counting out what's in the, separating them into little piles and things like, you can't imagine what it takes to make $1 in pennies. It's like takes up half the table. But 100 pennies, boom, $1, yay! And then 4 quarters, ooh, okay. So I put them into individual plastic baggies. So I know exactly how much money we've got.
Yeah.
And I've got like $30 in quarters or something like that, and $3 in pennies, which weighs more than the $30 in quarters, of course. And then some dimes and nickels and stuff. So total about $50 that we have put away just by taking change that we still get here and there. Or I am still the kind of guy who will pick up a penny off the street. So and I'm excited about that. That was great. Let me go to the bank and get rid of this and deposit it, or maybe take some cash, etc. Right? And you were like, no, you kind of like go to the supermarket,
Coinstar.
do the Coinstar thing, because those are fun.
Yeah.
You put the thing in the thing, you watch it, and it's a Coinstar, and I'm like, no, Jew that I am, because it's like, if you take $100 and you put it in the Coinstar will give you $88 back.
Wow.
It's taking $12 out of your money just for doing you the favor of counting it. I'm like, no! It's my dough. 1% all right, but then 12%? No, I'll go to the bank. That's what they do. My money, my bank account, my bank, I go. So I go to the bank about a week and a half ago, and this young woman is there, and I said, okay, I counted. Here's $32 in quarters. Here's $3.50 in pennies. Here's this in dimes. And oh no, we can't take that. I'm like, it's money.
Yeah.
It's legal tender. You're a bank. This is money. Yeah. My money. You put it. It's mine.
Yeah.
And she said, no, we can't take loose coins. I'm like, okay, what do I do? And she hands me now these the things that I remember my dad,
Wrappers.
who was a numismatist back in the day, not professionally, but he was
That sounds
collected.
kinky.
So they hand me these stupid cardboard roller things. So now I've got to go home again, empty out all the bags. So there was an hour and a half of completely pointless work on my part. And it's also money. They call it filthy lucre. Money is dirty.
You should have worn gloves.
Well, no, I could have worn those gloves I do when I check my asshole for polyps. Don't do that. But I should, actually. But this is why people, because money, it's covered with
Most people
muck.
now use plastic money. They don't even use money.
Yeah, I don't even know. I use a credit card every possible chance I get. And yet somehow we have $50 worth of change in our little piggy bank from like the last 5 years. So now it's like you have these stupid roller things. And it's like, and it's always, the hardest part is the first coin you put in there. Because it's like, it turns upside down, and you gotta push it with and then you get 10 in there, which is good. And then the bottom 5 fall out of the fucking bottom of the thing. And you gotta put them back in and then you push and you crinkle and you move.
That's good. It's good exercise. Then.
Oh, what an unbelievable, ridiculous waste. I spent, there are people, lawyers, who charge $400 an hour.
Yeah.
Right? I spent 4 hours overall trying to save $50 in coins. This is why people don't bother with money. This is why people throw pennies on railroad tracks. Just because it's like, what is it really worth compared to the time it takes to roll 100 pennies or 50 pennies into a 50-cent pouch. But oh boy, I was determined to make my statement and to do my thing. And after another hour and a half, I had all these things perfectly, properly rolled. I go to the bank. I hand her these rolled coins. Thank you very much. And the hilarious thing is, it's not like they crack them open and count them. So I could have been off here and there by a dime or a penny. I could have put like 49 pennies.
Or Canadian penny.
Yeah, right? I'm assuming eventually they'll find it and dock my account. But essentially she looks at the rolls and takes my word for it that there's 10 quarters in here. That's what is 10 quarters? $2.50. No, so it would be something like 30 quarter, whatever you fit in a quarter thing. They're taking your word for it until I guess eventually it goes into this big bin where they smash everything out and say, you thought you had 10 dimes, but you only had 9, so, but they took it. They did. So hooray. But what a pain in the nuts that a bank won't take money. I'm not asking them to take chickens as barter for something. I'm not asking them to give me a loan on account. This is technically legal tender. It's more legal than marijuana. Anyway. Welcome, everybody. By the way, welcome to Fred and to Tom and to Robert, speaking of high school, another high school person, and to David and to, what are you putting in my ear? Look at it. Ooh, tape. Ooh. No, we're not on tape anymore. It's all digital. That's humor. That is humor. So, let's see, what else do we want to talk about? And, last thing before we get to Greeley Clams at All Times. There is a song that needs to be played, because I didn't play it last week. But I'm going to play a little bit of it now. It's the greatest song ever in the history of the whole wide universe.
Will you do the
I'm not going to do... You can dance.
You do it. Here, make him dance.
Oh, I'll make Potato dance.
Okay.
We just discovered this song. It's about 8 or 9 years old, but we found it kind of accidentally on the interwebs, and we just love it. So we're going to play a little bit of it. Well, if iTunes would let me. Speaking of money,
I'm just a panda bear, naughty little panda bear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter.
I'm not sure what that has to do with it.
Panda bear, sexy panda underwear, and I'll dance for you
Yeah.
Panda bear, sexy little underwear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter.
Yes, I'm just a panda bear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter. By Steve Ibsen.
It's beautiful.
And the video is very, very fun because there's animations of panda bears dancing. And look for it. It's called Sexy Panda
It's
Bear.
like Tiny Tim. It has the feeling of Tiny Tim.
Yeah, intentionally, he's trying to do that falsetto like
voice,
Tiny
yeah.
Tim. I'm not going to tell you what I was actually searching for when we found Sexy Panda Bear. No. But, yeah, we will play more of that song later just because we've fallen madly in love
We like
with
it.
Steve Ibsen's Panda Bear song.
We do like it.
So, yeah, there's not much else to say. I thought there'd be so much to talk about.
No, it's been a good week, quiet week, you know?
In Lake Woba Tide, yeah, I had my back looked at because I've had a sore back for 2 weeks, and I went to the doctor, hoping, praying it wasn't osteoarthritis. And according to my general physician, who was also a sports doctor, he's like, no, 99%, it's just you did something to a muscle. Speaking of sexy panda bears. But, just some muscular thing. It'll take a couple of weeks. Do these exercises. Ice is good. A little bit of ibuprofen. God willing, you should be fine in 2 or 3 weeks. So, remember back when you were a teenager or 20 years old and you pulled something and 3 days it was gone?
No,
and I was
I
like,
never pulled
you're
anything.
50.
I never pulled anything.
Not going there. Okay. Sometimes the best punchline is silence. Welcome, Warhol. Hey, Warhol. Yay. Yeah, we haven't seen that English guy. Haven't seen him in a while. Bruce hasn't been on for a bit. Oh, we need our people.
Bruce is in hiding. He's probably sleeping, actually.
We have 25 messages. I can't see most of them, unfortunately, but keep sending them. Keep saying hi. I'll certainly be able to see them later, even if I can't see them now. But it's wonderful to have all of you in the neighborhood. We've got a very special show for you. We've got, no, it's not really special. It's just a really good show. We've got Tony Dufresne.
Are you going to read from Hans?
We've got Hansel and Cow coming up later, of course. We're about 3/4 of the way finished with Hansel and Cow.
I hope he gets I hope the calf makes it.
Me too. It's going to be 2 years before it's milkable and doing all those things cows do. We'll also go inside Broadway. We've got a Saturday Segue of songs in the news. We've got a new Limerick for you and the return of potato news. Because there's so much potato news that we have to share with you. So, yay. But it behooves us now to talk about our little neck of the woods. Because, we're here in northern Colorado, about 75 minutes north drive of Denver, in Greeley in Weld County. So we're a small-ish city, but we have our share of news and we have our share of problems.
And we have our share of people who call into the police needlessly.
Yeah, and police issues and folks who are desperately dialing 911 or however they call their local police department. Our local newspaper.
Psychokinesis.
Oh, I actually saved it just so I could show an actual copy.
Oh, really?
Of the Greeley Tribune. Ta-da!
Where's the Crimes in All Times?
Yeah, this is where we get this column every week that we do. One is called Cop Log. I know. Cop Log, and that's the phone calls that come into the police department. And also Mike Peters does a weekly column called 100 Years Ago.
That's awesome.
He goes through what this newspaper was 100 years ago. It was called the Greeley Tribune Republican, go figure, and looks through the stories of 1918 for the funniest, weirdest, goofiest, most nostalgic items that people were reading back then in their daily newspaper. And so we call our segment Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Tra-la-la-la! Some noisy Tom Waits music there for Greeley Crimes and Old Times here on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. And by the way, I think we have... Oh, John! Just logged in. So welcome to John.
Hey, John.
On this Saturday, July 7th, 2017. Are you ready for some exciting...
Yes.
Wait, I just had it in front of me, and now I know... There it is. Okay.
I lost it.
Our first crime of the day.
Uh-oh.
Greeley police responded to 52nd Avenue,
Wow.
where a dog owner received a note from his neighbor.
Yeah.
That read, "I'll be your worst nightmare if you don't provide for your dog." Whoa. The neighbor was contacted by officers and advised not to leave threatening notes anymore. Yeah. It's one thing to be an animal supporter, animal lover, but, okay.
Why not just call the ASPCA?
Well, you have to really feel that a dog
Then,
was
like,
being
neglect,
very
yeah.
badly abused. And even then, you call animal... They have that TV show, The Animal Cops.
Yeah, the animal cops.
Yeah. Very,
What do you want here?
Better just pick a noise. I don't know what noise would be appropriate for this. I really don't. But we're going for... That could work. Maybe. Yeah, that's good. That's good. We have a pronoun alert. Pronoun alert. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a missed pronoun, because I am an English teacher after all.
I thought I was Miss Pronoun.
Oh.
That's my drag name, Miss Pronoun. That'd be your drag name, Miss Pronoun.
I would like that.
Yeah.
No, I want to be miscommunication.
Oh, that'd be cool. You could say what you conjugate with me, things like that.
Misnomer.
Hey, excuse me, your participles dangling.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, it'd be fun.
What was it? We had when
What?
a former friend and I were looking for an apartment in New York. We were hanging together, and the real estate person who was helping us look for places in the village near NYU, her last name was Fortune.
Oh.
But, every time we had to deal with her, and his dad was kind of helping because he was sort of a muscle man, wasn't going to take any crap from people who were going to try and screw us. He would go, "Now, Miss Fortune."
Oh, that's funny.
That's why you call it Misfortune. Which is,
Your name is Misfortune.
Yeah. Anyway, but this is a pronoun alert. You ready?
Yeah.
Police responded to 25th Avenue and 15th Street.
Wow.
For a report of a car that looked like it was in a bad crash. The driver was passed out inside, and it looked as though a pole was sticking out of the rear end.
Whoa.
That's the way this was written in the Greeley Tribune this week.
You wonder why the guy's not passed out.
Yeah.
If I had a pole sticking out of my rear
He's
end.
lucky he's passed out. He wakes up. Better he's asleep, let me tell you.
Oh my God.
Let's watch our modifiers, shall we, folks? Okay. Indeed. Oh, 6-year-old Oliver Howard of Gill was found unconscious with a head injury.
God.
This is not the pole guy. This is 6-year-old Oliver of Gill.
Gill, yeah.
He had a head injury. He was found in the barn yesterday, but he's getting better now.
Oh, good.
At first, they thought he'd been kicked in the head by a horse.
Yeah, oh, good, yeah.
But now, he remembers, he was climbing near the ceiling of the barn, looking for sparrows' nests when he fell to the barn floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least he remembers.
I just love this idea that there's sort of a natural thing in barns. Oh, yeah, our kid was kicked in the head by a horse again. Not the brightest bulb. And it gets dimmer every time the horse kicks him, if you think about it. And I do like to think about it. Let's see. Government surveys show that 33 billion cigarettes were sold in America last
I have
year.
to walk, my Fitbit's telling me.
Okay. Amazing. Joyce has a Fitbit on, so she wants to get her steps in. Did you hit 10,000 yesterday, or did you just come
I
close?
don't remember, and I won't even count these.
Oh. Really have to be physically up and walking? Okay. Trish going to walk around so her Fitbit works. Oh, this is excellent. Government surveys show...
I'm getting dizzy.
Well, just look at one potato.
What's 17 plus 14?
Oh, God. 31?
Okay.
Something like that. Did I get that right? I'm not a math person. Anyway, government surveys show 33 billion cigarettes were sold in America last year. That would be 330 cigarettes for every man, woman, and child in the country.
I'm dizzy.
And child? And child. And by the way, that was a number from 1918.
I like to smoke when I'm 3.
That's right. But
I'm dizzy from walking in that circle. I'm really wobbly.
Well, yeah. I mean, you were kind of going back and forth, but...
I need a cigarette for a child.
Well, probably got about 40 steps in there. That's good. Let's see, how many do you have?
Stop counting at 31. It's trying to do my heart rate.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because that a little bit of cardio. That's good. Anyway, Mayor Todd. Oh, speaking of 4th of July, Mayor Todd, who last month said all fireworks will be illegal in Greeley this year, has revised his law. Guess who can set off fireworks?
Who? Children.
Yes.
Of course.
He's banned fireworks except
Yeah.
for children.
Good. That's called population control. Hey, Tommy, after you fell off the barn roof, let's give you some fireworks.
And we know this is 100 years before the digital era because they blew up all their digits.
Yeah. Aww.
Well, the children, the thing is, and again we have a pronoun alert, children can now set off fireworks, but none larger than 5 inches long. In this case, it's actually the right modifier, but it still sounds wrong.
Yes, it's wrong.
Anywho, police took a call from a woman.
Oh, wait, that's not the one.
Oh, dear.
Sorry.
There's that woman who wanted an officer to perform
Oh, no.
a civil standby. I never heard of this before, but it's this kind of interesting thing. A civil standby
Yeah?
at her old home on 8th Avenue so she could retrieve her mail. The officer said the Greeley Police Department does not perform standbys without a court order.
Ah.
But the Weld County Sheriff's Office does. Civil standby is just basically
But why
keeping the order.
Yeah, but so then what's the difference between the sheriff and the police?
I don't know. I guess what else does a sheriff have to do except ride around in that sheriff car?
Oh, no, on a horse.
It's that too. But you ever see a sheriff doing anything except you see the sheriff in the sheriff car?
I don't know what a sheriff with. I don't know the difference.
Aren't they the head of the...
I know Bob Marley shot the sheriff, but I don't know the difference.
Well, the difference is he didn't shoot the deputy.
I don't know the difference, though.
Yeah. But anyway, here's the interesting fun part.
Yeah.
Before the officer could give the woman the sheriff's office number, she called him the common nickname for Richard and hung up.
Oh, she called him Rich?
Yeah, there you go.
Rich, wow, that's nice.
Or it could have been Gigi or Gigi.
Gigi, yes. Perhaps she called him Kathy.
Police responded to a report of harassment on 29th Avenue. 29th Avenue Court, excuse me.
Of course, those courts are very harassing.
That's where the harassment goes on, yeah. The caller, a licensed door-to-door solicitor. Now, did you know that door-to-door sales have licenses to do this now? Makes sense.
That's sketchy.
I know. So,
maybe they were selling Mary Kay or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Well, the caller told police he and his partner were confronted on the street, by an intoxicated man with a camera.
Welcome to the Stampede.
So police found that. So there's this guy with a camera.
Yeah.
He sees this door-to-door salesman.
It's a couple. You said two.
So, he and his partner. That's right.
Yeah, there's two people.
Because they have to go. It could be a Mormon.
I don't know. It's weird.
Police found the man. He said that he took video for evidence.
Yeah.
Because he didn't think it was right for two black guys to go door-to-door in his neighborhood.
Whoa.
He wasn't intoxicated.
Racism.
Yeah. If he wasn't intoxicated, we would call him the N-word.
Whoa, that's amazing.
That's Greeley for you. Mm.
Oh, my God.
Yep. More things change.
Welcome to the Terradome.
Tell me about it. Well, I mean, I don't want people coming door-to-door soliciting,
but if you're,
still.
like, what I don't get, I can barely hold my camera straight, and I don't drink. Imagine, like, how do you videotape? Wouldn't you be like, I don't know. They should arrest him for being an idiot.
He can shoot music videos for MTV.
I guess so.
Let's see. Police responded to 9th and 19th. Ooh.
We're getting close.
Yeah. Because an intoxicated man...
He gets around.
...called 911 to report that his neighbor, quote, doesn't like him.
Oh, that's sad. He must be a millennial.
The hurt feelings stemmed from the neighbor's dog using the caller's side of a common backyard to relieve himself.
Oh. Dog pooping.
I know.
We don't have a... Wait, we have maybe... Hold on. I can maybe...
Is there a dog poop noise?
No, there's this.
Oh my. That's excellent. Now this is exciting. We were talking about sport. I haven't even been following the World Cup. I think
FIFA.
they're to the semifinals now. It's real close.
Just a FIFA there.
Boop, boop. And, of course, the Coney Island hot dog eating and cornholing contest that they had on July 4th. So, we were talking about this a week or two ago. Remember our beloved Paul, the psychic octopus?
I know. A beloved
love
memory.
Paul.
A blessed memory, honey.
I know. The squid,
Yeah.
they don't say cottage, they say squiddish. When
He's
they
in
talk
a
about
better
it.
world, a better place. He's in a better place.
So, Japan
Yeah.
has its own answer now to Paul the psychic octopus.
Yeah.
Rabiot is what they call him. I don't know what that means. Rabiot.
Ask Fred speaks Japanese.
Fred, does rabiot mean anything, or
Maybe
is
it
it
means
just,
octopus.
It could. Well, that's taco, or isn't it, or
Taco?
Yeah.
That's cooked food. It's like pollo versus chicken.
Well, chicken is a pollo, isn't it?
No, but pollo's the cooked chicken. Gamina.
Gamina,
right?
gallina.
Something is the chicken.
Okay. Well, this is an octopus named Rabiot in Japan, a giant Pacific octopus
Whoa.
caught by Kimio Abe.
Uh-oh.
Rabiot rose to fame because he correctly predicted the first 2 World Cup matches for Japan.
Good
A
job.
win over Colombia and a draw with Senegal.
Whoa.
This is cool. He can predict draws because they got 3 separate areas of the tank.
Yeah.
So the octopus makes predictions by moving to one of those areas.
So
he doesn't just win or lose. He predicted a draw.
But what does he do? Just stand in the middle?
Yeah, he just goes and squats down in some area of the tank and makes his prediction.
Don't you think people are reading in way too much to animal behavior?
Well, here's the bad news.
Oh, no.
Rabiot's owner
Oh, no.
thought, as great as he was going 2-0 for the World Cup,
Yeah.
Rabiot's owner thought he would get more money by selling the squid than promoting it, so Rabiot was sold and turned into meat. Yeah. People are eating Rabiot as we speak.
Lord.
Well, they ate him a week ago. I
If
don't
you
know how
had
many.
sushi, you would eat him.
Of course I eat him. He'd be delicious. The octopus got his revenge, though. Rabiot did, because Japan lost its next 2 rounds
Good.
and was knocked out of the World Cup. Meanwhile, I love this, though.
It's like when we saw baby ducks and you said they're delicious.
No,
That was horrible.
I say that about little children, too. So. But meanwhile, Achilles, the Russian cat,
Oh, you talked about him last time, yeah?
he's 2 for 3. He predicted Russia beating Saudi Arabia and Egypt. However, he incorrectly backed Nigeria over Argentina.
You know Argentina's going to win.
It's just Achilles is just lucky he's not in Vietnam or Korea, or else they'd be selling him for meat too.
God.
But anyway, long live Rabiot, and God love Paul. Paul, our beloved, because Paul was like 8-0.
You loved him. You just loved the way he looked, yeah.
He was so cute, and he went down. He got every answer right.
If we ever make money, we can get those tanked people to make you a huge tank with an octopus. But it has to
Yes.
be a little one, yeah.
Yeah, I would.
And then he could predict the Tonys. Yours would do the Tonys. You'd put different Tony Award people.
Brilliant!
And he'd go in there like, blah, yeah.
No,
Yes.
I know you don't like to be on camera,
Yeah.
but could you do that octopus
No,
move on
I
camera? It's
cannot.
so
I
cute.
cannot. You
Please
do
do
it.
the
You do it.
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's
I'll
funnier
do
when you do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
No, okay, put yourself here.
Wait, okay. All right, Joy's gonna do it. And make the noise.
Blah, blah.
That's an octopus
Blah.
move.
Use your hands too. Blah,
Blah,
blah.
Potato. Oh, if we have potato, that's 8. So there we go.
No, that's 6.
No, he's got 4, 5,
Oh,
6.
okay.
No, 8.
Blah.
Okay, good.
Is that what you wanted?
You're watching Dave's Gone By for no particular reason whatsoever.
Oh, honey.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning, Mountain Time, here in Greeley, Colorado, in northern Colorado. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That's my darling, over there, is my darling, adorable wife, Joyce, doing the blah-blah octopus moves. It is July 7th, 2018, the 658th episode of the program. We're calling it Fresneship, in honor of Tony Dufresne, who will be our guest in the neighborhood later, with Rabbi Saul Solomon. We'll go inside Broadway. We've got a Saturday segue of songs in the news. We have a new limerick for you. We have more of Hans und Cow, and very, very shortly, the return of Potato News. Yay! So let's do a little bit more of... now, do you also want to be here for Potato News? Because I know that's exciting
Well, I
to
want
you.
to make tea, so you're going to give me your keys, then I can come back.
Oh,
I wanna
okay.
go to your
Well,
office.
we're just going to lock the door.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Not now.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
I mean, I got to go in your office. The main office.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, cool. But let's do a little more Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Police responded. We're doing Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Police responded to 10th Street and 48th Avenue.
Wow.
Because a prairie dog was caught behind a row of shelving.
What?
What would be on a marmot's reading list?
I don't know.
Sarah playing tall. What do they like?
I think they'd probably read, like, vegetarian recipes, because,
That's true. Gardening books.
And things about, like, maybe social, like, bowling alone, social capital. And
that popular children's book, Holes.
Yes, they'd love that.
Yeah.
And things about being together, because they're very communal.
I know, yeah. So I hope they got them.
Maybe Marmot elder housing for when they get old, They
want to read about that. They do. Yeah. Isn't Marmot elder housing just smaller holes next to closer to each other?
Oh, that's cute.
And each hole has a little ramp and a bar they can hang on to when they're showering and pooping.
Yeah.
That'd be cute. Like elder hostels designed for prairie dogs and marmots.
What happened to them, though?
No, it doesn't say. Unfortunately. Don't follow up on those.
Wow.
But here's one. Police responded to 16th Avenue and 4th Street for a report of a dog that ate some bacon he shouldn't have eaten. Our tax dollars at work.
Do you think it's pot bacon? It's like
or just bacon? Like maybe naughty dog, I was going to have that for breakfast. Why did you eat my bacon? I don't know. One time we used to go to Pennsylvania and we had a rescue dog called Penny. She was tied to our gate. She was a beautiful shepherd. Yeah. And my godfather's wife left like a meatloaf on the counter. She was doing something and she came back with meatloaf or steaks. I think the dog ate both and it was gone. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Gone, yeah.
Well, remember what your mom used to call our dog Ufti?
What?
It was Ufti.
Oh, yes, the egg roll kid.
He was the egg roll kid.
He used to steal food,
When we had deli, this is going back 10, 15 years, we had deli from our local delicatessen. Yeah. And we had, sandwiches, we were making them, putting them on the counter, and there was an egg roll.
Yes.
Near the edge of the counter.
And when he stands, he's about half a foot. He's
he's a dachshund.
Yeah.
He's a little wiener dog.
How did he grab it like that? I don't know.
He jumped up and... We didn't see him do it. We just know he did.
Yes, we saw the remains.
And your mom always called him from then on the egg roll kid.
Yes.
And so this was the bacon kid. The dog might be in mortal danger, though. Only because I know if I went to the trouble of making bacon in the morning and was looking forward to it, and the dog ate all of it, I would kill the dog.
Oh, God, don't say that.
All right, I'm just saying. Anyway, let's go back to some old-timey news, shall we?
Okay, sure.
We shall.
I don't know how you have so much energy. You're great.
Because thank you. I love doing this. I love this program. The Dave's got my radio for. If I could just find the paperwork that I need, it would be even better. Oh, okay.
No?
I guess not. Where's my page 4?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Where's my
here it is. Oh, there aren't that many 100 years ago. That's why I'm a little confused.
Okay. Boy, whatever you want. It's your show. You're the boss.
We talked about this last week. Apparently inspired by the recent misadventures of the Greeley traffic cop statue. Remember last week the statue?
Everybody kept knocking it down and they beheaded it. And
it was stolen.
Yeah.
Run over by cars twice.
Wasn't it decapitated?
Lost its head, yes. The Eaton cop statue disappeared last night.
It's like the gnome. I told you, it's just like the gnome.
Yeah, 100 years ago.
Wow.
It was found this morning floating in the Poudre River.
How does the statue float?
Very carefully, I guess. Yeah. Near Greeley's 12th Street Bridge.
Wow.
It was taken to City Hall, and the Eaton police were picking up and returning it home.
Nice.
Did you get the idea that people just... Of all the statues you should be building, traffic cops is not one...
I think, like you said, it was cheaper because you could just put it there, but then people would steal it.
I mean, if we figure people are pulling down Robert E. Lee statues, they're going to pull down a traffic cop statue.
Yeah.
Believe me. Anyway, let's see what else is in Greeley Crimes and Old Times for this Saturday morning. Police responded to 74th Avenue for a report of a raccoon
that waddles
like a penguin.
Oh, that must be so cute.
I know.
Like dun 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 dun.
Folks, if you see a raccoon that waddles like a penguin, don't call the police. Call me. I want to see that. Wouldn't you like to see, a little raccoon bobbing along?
Dun 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 dun.
I mean, maybe have Parkinson's or something, but
no. And maybe he was. They probably thought he was rabid. That's
Could
why.
be.
Yeah. Maybe then he walked down and he went to our neighbor's house that had babies with the mama raccoon.
Tell me about a waddling raccoon. Yeah, I would be scared of that too.
Yeah.
It's not normal behavior, and therefore.
Yeah, it could be. They might have thought rabies.
Anyway, police also responded to 28th Avenue Court. For this is happening more and more. For a report of an aggressive squirrel that wouldn't let the caller out the front door.
That's like you with your peanut butter sandwich. Maybe he went uptown. Uptown squirrel.
Night. Yeah.
He's been living in a uptown
world. No, these squirrels, they're getting so
domesticated.
Yeah.
Because the kids here feed them and people feed them.
But then they expect to be like, oh, I'm here, feed me.
That's right. They're like,
pay the toll.
I know you have some almond butter in your backpack. Yeah.
He who crosses this door must answer me these questions 3, and the other side, you see.
I don't think the squirrels talk, though.
You don't think
that?
No.
I think they make hissing sounds.
Anyway, what else? Police responded to 26th Avenue for a report of a man who poured a bottle of urine.
Here we go.
From his little taton, out of the window of his blue Dodge Dakota.
How do they know it was urine?
That's what I really want to know.
It could have been Mountain Dew.
Yeah. That's the thing. You're driving along. No place to stop. You go. Where else do you pour it in the street? But somebody reported this. What I don't understand is why the guy couldn't wait. Because the new Dodge models have special urine cup holders. They do. And I think on the same day, police responded to 74th Avenue. For a report of a man hanging halfway out the door of a Jeep Wrangler.
What the heck?
I think he had one too many bottles of urine.
Oh, God.
Yes. Thank you very much. We're making good headway on these. Let's do 1 or 2 more of these, and then we'll get to potato news, or you have to go and do your teething. I'll do the sponsors. Yeah. Where are we?
I'm just a panda bear.
Doot. Police responded to a fast food restaurant on 10th Street for a report of a, quote, tweaker walking down the street with a rifle in a guitar case.
What was that Almodovar film? It was about the same thing.
Y tu mamá también?
No, it was the killer who did that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
El Mariachi.
Oh, well, that wasn't Almodovar, but that was. I never saw El Mariachi.
I saw it. Yeah. That's like the premise of the film, yeah.
Oh, well, maybe somebody saw the film and saw a tweaker walking down the street with a rifle in his guitar case. The caller said the man was a tweaker because, A, he's so skinny.
Okay.
And he was sure it was a rifle in the guitar case because, quote, it's one of them soft-sided ones.
What the heck?
So he figures, a hard shell case wouldn't hold a rifle, but one of those cases that are all spongy, you wouldn't pack an expensive instrument.
They were eating too much French fries.
Could have been. We're drinking too much urine.
Oh, God.
That'll do it.
That'll make me sick.
That will do it. Okay, let's find one more and close off this edition of Greeley Crimes and Old Times on Dave's Gone By. This is sort of sweet. A little overprotective. Police responded to Pooter Pond on 35th Avenue because a woman was worried about fish hooks and alligator snapping turtles hurting the children playing there.
Oh.
All I want to do is see a turtle. Every time we go walking in the park,
not a snapping turtle.
I would love to see a little turtle. And yet, nothing. This woman was worried about children maybe running barefoot and getting fish hooks in their I
Well,
guess, yeah.
So a friend of mine said they went to some lake for 4th of July, and you can't bring glass bottles in a boat because they're afraid if you drop the boats, drop the glass on the bottom of the lake, and people are swimming, they're going to rip their feet up. So I think that's a very nice lady.
Yeah, and I do caution folks who go fishing in the Poudre Valley or in the local rivers and parks and lakes, do be careful. Learn how to properly put the worm on the hook or the shrimp piece on the hook. Discard of the fish hooks carefully. So, even take lessons in how to bait those hooks so that you become master baiters. That's what I think you should do. So, anyway. That's Greeley Crimes and Old Times for this Saturday, July 7th, 2018, here on Dave's Gone By.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yes, indeed. Greeley Crimes and Old Times only on this radio Facebookio program of the stream, Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. Very happy to be doing this show. We've been doing it since October of 2002, back when we were on Long Island commercial radio, if you can imagine. But this is a little cozier, you have to admit. And by the way, welcome to John and Richard and Jay, of course, and my Aunt Esther tuned in. Hello, Auntie Essie. She probably tunes in for like 2 minutes, sees my face, sees that I'm alive, and then goes off to do other things. But say hi if you're there, Auntie Essie. And Mary, welcome Mary, and all the folks who were... not tweeting, but messaging and giving me thumbs up and faces and everything else. Keep saying hi. Keep messaging. I may not be able to read your stuff. I may not be able to see it because of the way Facebook decides to work. But I can see them later after the show's over. And speaking about later on, if you missed all or part of this show, or you have friends who might enjoy this, or you would love to hear the interview with Tony Dufresne, but he's not coming on for another half hour or so, and you've got to go, you got things to do on a Saturday, it's cool. Remember that we archive our programs. You can archive and hear, or you can hear the audio going. Let me make sure that I've got that going there. We record all our shows all the way back to the very first one that we ever did, back in October of 2002. And we have that episode. And we have the bunches and bunches and hundreds of other Dave's Gone By episodes, including the one we did last week, including ones we did last month, last year, 10, 12, 15 years ago. It's a wonderful treasure trove archive of comedy and music and interviews and weird stuff, the stuff that we do every week on Dave's Gone By. How do you get to it? Simple. Go to my website, davesgoneby.com. DAVESGONEBY. davesgoneby.com. And it's all there. It's absolutely free. They're downloadable as MP3s, so it's a podcast, but they're also streaming. So, people are a little hinky. Oh my God, it's a 3-4 hour show. If I download it, it'll eat up too much space, or I don't want to get viruses. There's no viruses, but no, I just want to stream it. You can do that too. And the really cool thing is, over the past bunch of months, now we've even been doing the Facebook shows with video. We've saved those as well. The audio isn't quite as good as it is in our recorded audio broadcasts, so you can take your pick. You can watch this ugly mug for 4 hours, or just listen with better quality music. And we actually put in a little bit more music in our audio shows that we pot down and we take out here on Facebook because of copyright issues, and Facebook will stop our stream if we play too much of a particular song. So just letting you know, you've got all these wonderful options at davesgoneby.com in our archive section. Do check it out. I also want to let you know about our amazing and terrific sponsors from our very first show. They are in Hewlett, Long Island, where I used to live. They are Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett. So, these are folks, if you have any kind of job, copying, printing, binding, putting your logo on an article of clothing, a pen or pencil, some, my gosh, balloons and banners. Their job, basically, is to help your business with all of its printing needs, of getting the word out about what you do. to the world at large. You want to have a calendar with your company's name and various photographs on it, they can do that, right? You want to send out greeting cards for the holidays. Holiday cards, they also do wedding invitations. You know what? I'm going to pick a letter. But in honor of our upcoming guest, Tony Dufresne, who's on later in the program, I'm going to go with D. D for Dufresne. These are just the D's of what ULIT Minuteman can do for you. Date stamps, decals, desk signs, desktop publishing, die cutting. So if you have someone who's dead and you want to cut them up, they do that. Diplomas, which can be laminated. Door hangers. So if you don't like that a door opens and closes and you want it actually hanging instead, they do that. It's all at ULIT Minuteman Press. They are the copy kings of Broadway. And if you tell them Dave sent you get 10% off any job,
I heard
big or small.
They give you a Frenchie.
They do. I don't know if they French at ULIT Minuteman, but the Toron family who owns and operates ULIT Minuteman, they're great. They've owned the franchise since the 1970s. I've dealt with them for years, and they do fine quality work. Give them a call, 516-569-5577, area code 516-569-5577.
Tell them the code word is potato.
No, I don't want to confuse them, because if you say Dave sent you get 10% off any job.
Do you mind if I eat?
Yeah, you can do what you... Well, but we're going to... Don't eat potato, for obvious reasons. Because we've got potato news coming up. We've also got the Saturday Segue of songs in the news. A new Colorado Limerick. Tony Dufresne is coming inside Broadway. Oh, boy. This is it. This is so exciting. Ready? Oh, boy. My potato costume. Where's my arm?
I'm your potato dresser.
Thank you. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I'm so beautiful. Ugh. Ow! I always say I feel like Mary Bagham as the ham in To Kill a Mockingbird, but no, this is a potato costume in honor of the return of the potato news. And by the way, welcome again to my Aunt Essie, to Mary, to Jeffrey, and to Julia. Julia, our friend's daughter.
Julia.
Yeah, so I hope she's doing great, and I hope your kids are doing great too.
Listen, tell Julia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Julia, you looked awesome in the no-coat style thing. You are so pretty.
Yeah.
You looked very nice, and it was nice pictures. We enjoyed seeing you.
Yes,
and
indeed.
we told your mom, who's probably going to give you a copy of the magazine.
Yeah, there's a glossy mag here called No Coast Style, Northern Colorado Style. And you know how these magazines have pictures of people who are better off than we are, who go to parties and stuff?
No, it's charitable stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So they're so well off, they don't have to take their piggy bank and keep the money. they can give it away a little bit. But anyway...
Fix your head.
Let me fix what's wrong with my head?
You got to put the top on.
Well, no, if I do this, I won't be able to read the the very important thing, because we have, on this episode of Dave's Gone By, the return of potato news in honor of our beloved potato friends, and there is so much incredible potato news this week. It's astonishing. So, are you ready for this excitement, babe? Are you...
I'm scared.
Let's have our potato news theme.
There's no ketchup in the office, though.
Oh, I took the ketchup out because of... we took it home to try it, the elevation. It wasn't in the bag, right? No. I may have a ketchup packet somewhere. Give me a moment, folks.
Go back on camera. No, you read it.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's...
It's okay.
Oh, well. Shame on me for not having ketchup readily available. We have a tomato up there. You can... Here.
Don't see it.
Oh, my God.
No, don't do it.
I got him. Oh, look up.
Help us. Okay.
So... In honor of potato news, we do have one tomato in the office.
He looks very exothalmic. Looks like he has goiter. Look at his eyes.
Oh.
Got one eye. There's something wrong with it.
Well, do you expect anything associated with me to be normal?
Yes.
Really?
You're a very handsome man.
No, I'm not, but thank you, darling. Okay. Here, this might work. If people can hear me.
No. Listen, no. You're going to choke yourself.
Okay, here we go. It's time for... Potato news! You say potato, I say potato. Let's call the whole thing potato news.
Very highbrow.
Oh, my brows are here. Let me do that again. Okay. Good morning. This is Spudward R. Murrow with the potato news for today, July 7th, 2018. We begin with international pushback.
Oh, no.
Over President Trump's tariff war with the European Union. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who just weeks ago got along famously with the U.S. leader, has now instituted a revenge tariff on American goods. Responding to Donald Trump's 25% levy on iron and steel, Canada will slap a 10% tariff on items imported from the United States. Those include pizza, dishwashing liquid, and, wait for it, ketchup. I know.
That's shocking.
Speaking from Leamington, Trudeau urged
From Leamington? How lame.
Trudeau urged his countrymen to, quote, make their choices accordingly when considering whether to buy American products. And his choosing Leamington was no accident. It is considered the tomato capital of Canada.
Whoa.
And it is where French's, a direct Heinz competitor, gets its tomato sauce. As a matter of fact, that is a swipe at Kraft Heinz, which left Canada in 2014 after operating there for 105 years. Shame on Heinz. Well, or they went American. Which
If Trudeau wasn't so good looking. Darn his dashingly good looks.
What this means, though, for Americans and for potatoes, is potentially more expensive Heinz ketchup.
What?
Should this tragedy occur, we will report it right here on Potato News. It is suggested that you stock up on Hunt's, recently voted in a taste test to be superior to Heinz, French's, and Annie's Organic.
David, is it going to be like the gas shortage in the 70s? You have to wait online for ketchup?
Not only that, but the ketchup that will be inferior to Heinz will give you gas.
And you know what they'll do? They'll take away the pumps at the it runs on all the fast food. They'll take away and maybe Toby Kendall will take away the ketchup pump.
Ooh, pandemonium, and not sexy pandemonium, but pandemonium. Oh dear,
David,
you might want to keep.
Who will tell the Spuds?
You might want to keep a couple of bottles of Sir Kensington's on reserve.
That's right.
Just in case.
Wow.
It's all right, Potato. We will keep you posted. Very sad. Very scary news in the world. In further international news, Potato Europe 2018 is shaping up to be a terrific time.
What is it, Potato Europe?
The quadrennial event.
You know it's good if it's quadrennial.
Well, having it more than that would just be too much. It was too exciting.
Masia.
It's going to be held September 12th through the 13th in Germany.
Around the time of our Potato Day here.
That's right. But as I'm sure you know, Potato Europe is the top trade fair for potato professionals. 183 exhibitors from 13 countries have signed on to share techniques of breeding, fertilizing, crop protection, and potato technology. In addition, attendees will receive information on how to promote the position of the potato among consumers. Yay!
No, Potato, that's where you're a food product.
We're the top! We're the big potato!
But that's a food product. He doesn't want to be that.
Oh, well. But it's about growth. It's about breeding and crossbreeding and fertilization. That's fun. The breeding's fun.
They weren't bred, they were made.
There will also be a special organic potatoes meeting point.
Whoa.
Geared towards farmers thinking of converting to organic crops. And this year's Potato Europe is co-organized by the German Agricultural Society and the German potato industry. And it will once again take place at the Rettergut-Bockerode estate in Sprenge-Mitterode near Hanover.
Bless you.
We suggest you GPS it. UPI reports 2 universities in Peru have set a new Guinness World Record for the largest causa. Do you know what a causa is?
No.
A causa is a traditional Peruvian dish containing egg, shrimp, avocado, and... Potatoes.
Fake potato.
That's true. The universities of San Ignacio Loyola and San Antonio Abad del Cusco, which I guess is not related to Costco, hurting. Wow. See if I can do this. They worked 12 hours together to bake the kausa, which weighed over 1,300
It's
pounds.
good. It's really good. Have you ever had it?
I've never had
delicious.
kausa.
It's delicious.
I've never had cows too. Because the food is okay. Anyway, guess how much that it was? 1,300 pounds.
I'm very excited.
When they like potato news, it's tremendously exciting.
Your turn to the side. They can't see your face.
Oh, okay, but you know how this 1,300 pound kausa? Do you know how much bigger it was than the previous winner?
Not that much.
220 pounds heavier.
And you could feed the whole town. I like that.
That would be.
I like those community events where they make food and you could all eat. You know.
Well, they're doing it for a good cow's. Oh. Continuing the potato news.
Lowered this here. People can't see yourself.
I'm a 54-year-old man doing this.
When you hold the paper up at you.
What's wrong
Hold
with
the
me?
paper down so you don't see the paper there.
Well, I'm trying to see it also. The president of one university said, "We are truly." This is talking about the kausa
Yes,
still.
I know, of course.
We are truly proud to have achieved this record.
Yes.
With this activity, we seek to promote the consumption of Peruvian potatoes on all continents. A food rich in energy with multiple nutritional properties and diverse uses. Yay! The school, this same Loyola school, or it was the other one, it was Abad del Cusco, previously broke world records for the largest quinoa, rocotos releños,
I would like that.
and olive salad.
Ooh,
The world's largest olive salad.
I would love that. That would be like my heaven of Olive Garden. I would love it.
Well, you know, honey, olive you. I'm sorry, this is news. This is serious. Okay, back to the potato news.
Lower this down so you have
In domestic transportation news, this week the Idaho Potato Commission unveiled the Big Idaho Potato 2.0.
Whoa.
Hi.
Here, you should take one of these guys.
Oh, yeah.
These are the Idaho Potato Commission potatoes that they gave you. Ow, it's my head.
Oh,
see, it says, okay, so
Yay!
show the Idaho potato and turn around. This has the website.
Wait, it's got to go this way. Okay.
Show them the website. There you go.
Joy! And this is truly a joyous moment in potato news, ladies and gentlemen, because, where are we? This is a 4-ton fiberglass potato that replaces the original giant spud that traveled 155,000 miles.
Wow.
And traveled to more than 7,200 cities over the last 7 years.
God.
The truck is still 28 feet long and 12 feet high. But the new potato is trimmer, streamlined, and 2 tons lighter.
Whoa.
The commission donated the original potato to Christy Wolf, a former member of the Tater team that travels with it.
Nice.
Ms. Wolf will turn the old potato truck into a tiny house in Idaho.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I could just die happy right now.
Well, we can make you a potato tiny house.
I would love that.
Yeah.
The new truck began its cross-country drive July 4th in Alameda, California, and will wind up in Oregon a year from now. Unfortunately, at the moment, there are no Colorado or New York stops for the truck. Although there are 2 stops in Kansas, 1 in Idaho, naturally.
That's close. We can go to Kansas.
And 3 in Missouri. The hell? If that
I
sounds...
think it's bribery.
I think so. Well, if that sounds unbalanced, be aware that the truck's visit to Collinsville, Missouri on September 12th will be very special indeed. Collinsville is the home of the world's largest ketchup bottle.
Oh, that's beautiful. What a nice, that's a nice pairing.
And for 19 years, that town has held a world's largest ketchup bottle festival, birthday party, and car show.
On September 12th?
Yes.
Wow.
Alas, this year will be its last. Mike Big Tomato Gassman.
Yes.
Gassman is his last name, he told the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that he and his wife and fellow organizer Judy Ketchup Bottle Lady DeMoisey were victims of their own success.
What?
Last year, they said, was so big and fun, we felt we couldn't top it.
Oh.
We want to move on to other things, because last year's event drew nearly 5,000 people to the festival, which commemorates the birthday.
It's like Sturgis.
Check it out. This commemorates the birthday of a 70-foot-tall Brooks catsup bottle, and it's spelled C-A-T-S-U-P, by the way.
Wow, very fancy.
That sits on 100-foot steel legs. The bottle was built in 1949 as a water tower for the now-closed Brooks plant.
That's clever.
20 years ago, Gassman and DeMoisy raised funds that restored the landmark, and in 1993 it came back. So as part of this year's final festivities, on September 12th, the world's largest Idaho potato truck, featuring Larry and the Tater twins,
Woo! Very exciting.
will visit
Yeah?
the ketchup bottle.
That's beautiful. It's like when King Kong and Mothra get together. You can't top it.
I'm sorry,
Don't be
I
sad.
remember men landing on the moon in 9/11, but this is just...
Fix your nose. You got a little...
It's okay. Pull yourself together,
Here,
Spudward.
hug him.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. Moving on in potato news.
Short-lived.
Well, more sadness, but not really. Walmart has shoppers both confused and bemused by stocking and advertising Obeson Farms Easy to Prepare funeral potatoes.
Oh, yes. Those were very confusing. We learned about this. And Mormons make it, right? It's the Mormon dish.
The Deseret News reports that Mormon communities and families in Utah are perfectly familiar with this cheese and potato dish.
Yeah. Isn't it like potatoes au gratin?
Yeah, basically. It began as kind of a comfort food you bring during times of bereavement,
I like
but
that.
now it's served at all kinds of functions.
And what about quinceañera?
Bar
mitzvah?
Bar mitzvah, right?
I'd like some gratin.
Actually, wedding ceremonies.
So goopy.
It's like, son, congratulations, here's funeral, but Dad, I'm getting married. Believe me, here's funeral potato. Ow, 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 ow.
You didn't do so bad.
Folks unfamiliar with the recipe for funeral potatoes tweeted messages like, quote, is Facebook's algorithm threatening me?
What?
And also, well, in this idea of
I
go buy
see,
funeral potatoes at Walmart. Or from Melanie Sepler of Artsy Cat Designs on Instagram, is it just me, or does anyone else find the name of this casserole mix disturbing? Well, Melanie, the mashing and dehydrating of potatoes is always disturbing. Hence the motto on the back of the bag, potatoes are to die for.
Oh.
And it is on the back of the funeral potatoes bag, apparently, yeah. So, to finish up the potato news for this Saturday, July 7th, looking at the weather map. That was me looking at the weather map.
Where's the map?
Continued seasonable heat in northern Colorado.
Yeah.
It'll stay in the mid-90s all week long with minimal chances for precipitation. So potatoes, wear your hats, drink, and maintain your water levels. Avoid contact with oils.
Wow.
And always check your peels for cracking and discoloration. This has been Potato News with me, Spudward Armorow. Good night and good growth. You're watching the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream with one and only me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who has who joins us for the first part of the program, and you're sticking around, which is so cool, because we have so much more. We've got Tony Dufresne, the motivational speaker and podcaster and former radio broadcasting guy. He'll be talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon in just a little moment of a bit. We have a brand new Colorado Limerick of the Damned coming up. Ooh. We also have a Saturday segue of songs in the news. We'll talk about our friends in the neighborhood rather briefly in a bit. Oh, and of course, how could we have a Dave's Gone By episode without yet another of the endless installments of A Cow for Hansel? Yeah, that's all coming up. But first, let's get theatrical because, I'm not just a radio broadcaster. I'm not just a bon vivant and man about town and suicidal depressive. But no, I am also a theater guy, a playwright, an actor, something of a director, certainly have been a theater critic and theater journalist for 30-something years. So we like to do a little something that we call Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Da, 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 da. Inside Broadway we go, just to keep tabs on the Broadway season, just because I love Broadway and theater so much. And, and again, I say this kind of frequently, but if you care about modern popular music, you know everything that's going on with Beyonce and Kanye and all those people. And if you care about movies, you know they've got this Ant-Man and Wasp thing, because it's all over media. But I care about theater and Broadway just as much, so I like to share that. And why shouldn't you know what's going on in the world of theater? It's not a big week in theater news, I will tell you that. But this is kind of interesting. The New York City Council approved a $2.4 billion renovation of the DoubleTree Hotel on West 47th Street. What is this? Why is that even important? Here's the deal. On the ground floor of that hotel now, the ground floor of that structure is Broadway's Palace Theater. So what they're going to do is they're going to raise the theater 29 feet, essentially 3 stories up, to maintain it and then put retail underneath. Because even though Broadway brings in billions of dollars, more money than ever, makes more money than ever, and has more money in tourism dollars and commerce than ever, still, if you put a Broadway theater in a giant space on the ground floor, that's making a certain amount of money as opposed to, I don't know, a friggin' Walgreens. You okay? Which would make a whole lot more. So the good news is because so many of these theaters are protected and conserved, they're going to keep the theater, they're just going to jack it up to the 3rd floor. Kind of, I guess, like the Marriott Marquis when they built that thing. Anyway, in weird Broadway news, there's a comedy or a dark comedy that's going to be opening on Broadway in just 2 weeks. It's called Straight White Men. And there's all sorts of controversy about it, but it has nothing to do with the title. It's a play by young Jean Lee, a female author, which is great, female Asian author getting a play on Broadway. It's already started previews, opening on July 23rd. But here's the deal. Before the show started previews, they had their cast set. Tom Skerritt, you remember him from movies and TV, he was all set to star, but for personal reasons, he left the show. Okay? It happens. Previews went on with the understudy in the role, and then they picked their cast replacement, an actor named Dennis Arndt, whom you might remember from a play called Heisenberg with Mary Louise Parker a couple of seasons back. So fine, he's been rehearsing the role, he's been learning the part, he was going to go in and replace Tom Skerritt as the lead in this play. Well, go figure. Now, Dennis Arndt has had, shall we say, creative differences with the director of the show, Anna D. Shapiro. She's a Tony winner for August Osage County, and she's directing this play at the Second Stage owned Helen Hayes Theater on Broadway. And now, so the second guy is out for the same part, Dennis Arndt. He's being replaced by the actual understudy dude, Stephen Payne. The good news is he's been in the show since it actually started preview, and it's that, a Star is Born thing. The dutiful understudy that everybody groans at when they make the announcement, so-and-so is going to star, and they have the sheet in the playbill. He's going to be the star. He's opening the show. Whether it will be a hit, whether it will survive people's speculation of, like, why can't they get this show together with a lead actor they can keep, hard to say. But at least the show is still scheduled to be opening. It's called Straight White Men, and it'll be happening in late July. If it doesn't, you'll hear it here on Dave's Gone By. And we have a little, speaking of kerfuffles, speaking of feathers being ruffled and kerfuffled in a hullabaloo and a shindig, I want to let you know that My Fair Lady is doing very, very well on Broadway. It did not win the Tony for Best Musical Revival, and I don't think it won any Tonys for that matter. It looked pretty good on the telecast, except for that big ensemble number with bearded men dancing as women, which made absolutely no sense. But anyway, it's making great money. It's making like $1.5 million a week for Lincoln Center, My Fair Lady. So everything's going fine. Lauren Ambrose got wonderful reviews for her Eliza Doolittle. She's doing great, but it's a tough role. I mean, it's a role that is very demanding, quite a lot of demand on an actress's voice, not just because there's two different accents she has to use, but there's a lot of singing. So she has now asked producers to do 7 shows a week instead of the typical usual 8. She's far from the first person at this point to ask to do only 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 shows a week. But, she's a young woman. I think she's in her early 30s. Okay. Well, someone who disagrees with that choice is her co-star, Dame Diana Rigg, who plays Higginson's mom in My Fair Lady. And she emailed somebody, I don't know who she emailed or how this email reached the press, but it did. And Diana Rigg wrote in an email, quote, "I learned, courtesy of a newspaper, that our leading lady will not be appearing in future Sunday matinees. It is time managements put their audiences first and insist on the old adage, slightly adapted by me, the show must go on with all principles." End quote. Diana Rigg was then later interviewed as a follow-up by the New York Post and said that, hey, when she was doing Medea back in 1994 on Broadway, it was her last Broadway show, I think, before this one, she had busted a vocal cord. And she took vocal lessons and modified the pitch of her voice and the placement, and she went on. So she's saying, look at these young whippersnappers, they're not trained well enough, they're too lazy, they want this, they want the weekend off. Come on, suck it up, do it. And one can imagine it's a little frosty backstage at My Fair Lady these days between Lauren Ambrose and Diana Rigg. I feel 2 different ways about this, I have to admit. If I'm an audience member and I've already bought a ticket to a Sunday matinee of My Fair Lady expecting Lauren Ambrose to be in it, and she's not, and it's not one of those things where she's out sick that day, and it's an understudy, and you can choose whether to come back on a different day or stay and see the understudy. Now it's just an official thing, somebody else is doing the matinees, don't know how I feel, okay? And I'm also of the trooper mentality. I'll never forget we had the cabaret singer Maud Maggart on the program, and she was talking about, hey, what happens if you've got a cabaret show to do, and it's all you, it's you up there, and a pianist and maybe a bass player and maybe a guitarist, and you don't feel well, and your voice is shot, and it's bad all day, and you've got 101 fever, what do? And she said, well, there's something called Dr. Theater, where some endorphins, some antihistamines, whatever, kick in inside your body, and you just do it. You get through it. And then when it's over, you collapse. but for the hour and a half that the audience is waiting to see and experience you at the very best you can give, you can kind of ramp yourself up to 80, 90% and just get through it. The other side of the issue, of course, is if you're doing that and you're a vocalist, or even worse, a dancer, and you play in pain, are you cutting months or years off your career by pushing through and being a trooper and working it and doing it, and then you realize once the run is over or your contract is up and you stop, that you can't do the next show you want to do because you've permanently damaged some Achilles tendon or some vocal cord thing. So I get that, as well. I do really see and understand both sides of it. I just feel like for all those years on Broadway, actors did, without microphones, by the way, they stood on giant Broadway stages of 1,200 seats, 1,400 seats, and they projected and they sang with orchestras all around them. And they did it 8 times a week because that's what they were paid for. And what's even more amusing to me is that all these actors and actresses, when they were first starting out, coming out of college in their teens and 20s, what would they do? All day long, they would run to this class and that class, and they do stuff with scene partners, and they memorize and work late into the night, and they act every possible chance they could. And then they get on a subway, and they jump off the subway in all kinds of weather, and get ready, and just audition, and then go to 3 auditions the same day, and then a class, and then work a scene over and over. And yet, these folks who put all that physical energy, who would have gladly done 12 shows a week if anybody would have hired them back then. Now it's like, 8 shows, it's a little too much to do 2 on a Saturday, 1 on a Sunday, that close together. So, I see both sides, but as I said, frosty times at My Fair Lady on Broadway. Well, there's nothing frosty at all. I feel warm and toasty about this wonderful publication. It's called Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway since 1944. This is the place where people in the entertainment industry turn when they want to know every single item about every show on, off, and off Broadway. So it's not just the synopsis and where a particular show is playing in New York, but everyone involved in it. How do you contact them? What are the contacts for the press agents, the managers? Sometimes you can get the direct emails or numbers of actors, directors, designers, choreographers themselves on every single page of Performing Arts Insider. Let's just thumb out to a page. Yes.
Is the editor cute?
The editor, well, he's bald. Here's a picture of the editor.
Let me see.
Hold on, let me show my adoring public first. There he is.
Oh, he's a potato.
He's a potato in a human costume. But I'm going to flip to a page. Here's page 38 of the July 1st issue of Performing Arts Insider. It starts with a listing for the People's Improv Theater, which has been playing for a very long time at the Pit on East 24th Street. If you're curious about that, or you're a critic, or someone who wants to interview somebody involved with the show.
Or a TV show if you want to. Or have it on your YouTube channel.
What about YouTube? Yeah. Every single show, point is that folks from late night talk shows, mid-morning talk shows, they use this publication because they know, somebody's in a Broadway show. We want them on our morning show. What's their agent's number? Oh, look, we can contact them directly through their email.
Is Sexy Panda
all
in there?
Here. There's no sexy. There should be a Sexy Panda
that?
show.
I see who wrote.
Who wrote what? What?
What that thing says.
Where? This?
No,
you just wrote this.
No, I see gray.
Oh, this. Oh, that was Julia saying, Dr. Nancy, your
Yes,
friend Nancy,
yes.
says hi. Our whole family is watching.
Oh, Lord.
Isn't that great? So, yay. So, that whole family, every one of you should subscribe to Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. I will admit, it's not a cheap publication because it's a journal. But the folks who read it and subscribe to it, they renew year after year because it's the only place that can get all this information. For more information about Performing Arts Insider, go to performingartsinsider.com. performingartsinsider.com, and you can get a single issue if you're in Manhattan at the Drama Bookshop and Theater Circle. Both of them are in the West 40s, but it is the Bible of Broadway. And I will also remind you that the company that puts out Performing Arts Insider has a free website. It's called TotalTheater.com. And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of theater reviews for free of Broadway, off and off Broadway, regional theater, international theater, and festivals. All you have to do is surf there. TotalTheater.com. The Criticopia section has all these reviews. There's a periodic section of articles and interviews about the theater, and we're even compiling, since our search engine can be a little bit hinky, there's a new line that you can hit right on the homepage that says, search all our reviews. And we're going back to all the reviews that we've done since the site started. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
That's a global search, honey.
Yeah, it's a global, a list of all the shows. And it's right on the homepage of TotalTheater. gmail.com. I've got to make some hot, sweet love with my wife for a moment. I'll be right there. Hey, honey. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my back. Oh, my back. Oh, not doing that for another year. Okay. Love you, sweet. I'll see you later. That was my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, here in the neighborhood. And by the way, welcome to Ryan and Jolinda and Sandy and Michael and Julia and Gregory and all the folks who are listening and watching the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. We're in the middle of our Inside Broadway segment celebrating the theater and celebrating and remembering the life. Our last item, kind of a sad one, but Gillian Lynn died last Sunday at the age of 92. Lights were actually dimmed on Broadway this past Monday for her. She's a dame, or was, because she is the choreographer who did a little show called Cats. Kind of a game changer, whether you like the show or not. She won an Olivier Award for it in 1981. She was Tony nominated for Cats in 1983, and she also directed, choreographed a little show called The Phantom of the Opera in 1988. The New London Theatre on the West End of the UK was recently renamed the Gillian Lynn Theatre, making her the very first non-royal woman to receive that honor. And Gillian Lynn, she did more than those two Andrew Lloyd Webber shows. She choreographed way back when, in 1965, The Roar of the Grease Paint, The Smell of the Crowd. That was in the Anthony Newley show. Pickwick, How Now, Dow Jones, Aspects of Love, another Webber show in 1990. The 2005 Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The revival of Cats in 2016 was based on her original choreography. So Gillian Lynn, a major force in choreography from the 1960s all the way up through the 90s. Shame that, she lived to 92, so mazel tov. Wonderful. And here's a great story. Here's what I really want to share with you. And I didn't even know about this until I was doing, I think it was part of our master's degree, or this may have even gone back to the USC fellowship that I did in arts journalism. But they played a TED Talk, one of the early TED Talks, with Sir Ken Robinson. All these sirs and dames today. But Sir Ken Robinson, who's just wonderful as a speaker, he was talking about the arts and the importance of creativity in children and raising children and showing them what they're capable of doing. And as part of this longer talk, he told a story that had to do with Gillian Lynn of Cats, and we all found it really, really quite touching and moving. So this is that segment of Sir Ken Robinson from his TED Talk, where he mentions the late choreographer Gillian Lynn.
I'm doing a new book at the moment called Epiphany, which is based on a series of interviews with people about how they discovered their talent. I'm fascinated by how people got to be there. It's really prompted by a conversation I had with a wonderful woman who most people have never heard of. She's called Gillian Lynn. Have you heard of her? Some have. She's a choreographer, and everybody knows her work. She did Cats and Phantom of the Opera. She's wonderful. I used to be on the board of the Royal Ballet in England, as you can see. And anyway, Gillian and I had lunch one day. I said, how'd you get to be a dancer? And she said it was interesting. When she was at school, she was really hopeless. And the school in the 30s wrote to her parents and said, we think Gillian has a learning disorder. She couldn't concentrate. She was fidgeting. I think now they'd say she had ADHD. Wouldn't you? But this was the 1930s, and ADHD hadn't been invented, at this point. So it wasn't an available condition. People weren't aware they could have that. Anyway, she went to see this specialist. So this oak-panelled room, and she was there with her mother, and she was led and sat on this chair at the end, and she sat on her hands for 20 minutes while this man talked to her mother about all the problems Gillian was having at school. And at the end of it, because she was disturbing people, their homework was always late and so on, little kid of 8, in the end, the doctor went and sat next to Gillian and said, Gillian, I've listened to all these things that your mother's told me. I need to speak to her privately. So he said, wait here, we'll be back. We won't be very long. And they went and left her. But as they went out the room, he turned on the radio that was sitting on his desk. And when they got out the room, he said to her mother, just stand and watch her. And the minute they left the room, she said she was on her feet, moving to the music. And they watched for a few minutes, and he turned to her mother, And he said, you know, Mrs. Lynn, Gillian isn't sick. She's a dancer. Take her to a dance school. I said, what happened? He said, she did. I can't tell you how wonderful it was. We walked in this room, and it was full of people like me. People who couldn't sit still. People who had to move to think. Who had to move to think. They did ballet, they did tap, they did jazz, they did modern, they did contemporary. She was eventually auditioned for the Royal Ballet School. She became a soloist. She had a wonderful career at the Royal Ballet. She eventually graduated from the Royal Ballet School, found her own company, the Gillian Dance Company, met Andrew Lloyd Webber. She's been responsible for some of the most successful musical theatre productions in history. She's given pleasure to millions, and she's a multi-millionaire. Somebody else might have put her on medication and told her to calm down.
That's what they should really tell me. Anyway, that's Sir Ken Robinson from his TED Talk quite a few years ago, talking about the late Gillian Lynn, and that is Inside Broadway for this Saturday, July 7th, 2018, here in the neighborhood where we're 2 minutes away from the 11 o'clock hour Mountain Time. It's about 1 o'clock New York time. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, name of the program Dave's Gone By, the website davesgoneby.com, the email address davesgoneby@aol.com, the Facebook page Facebook.com Radio Dave Lefkowitz. So tell your friends, because in less than a moment, we're going to have our very special guest, motivational coach, former radio broadcaster, former Disney World worker, and very great raconteur and speaker, Tony Dufresne. We'll be talking to the great Rabbi Saul Solomon. So I just need to tell you that, well, yeah, I sort of did the ID. It's Dave's Gone By. What else could it possibly be? Welcome to the Rabbi and to Tony Dufresne.
Hey, this is Tony Dufresne, PhD, from the Surrounded by Idiots radio podcast and book, and I'm talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon on Days Gone By.
Oh, shalom, damn it. This is her old pal, Rabbi Saul Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And being a rabbi, I'm something of a help giver, an advice giver, a caregiver, which makes me somewhat qualified to talk to our special guest today. He is a life coach, a personal trainer, an author, and a podcaster. He has written a book that I certainly identify with, Surrounded by Idiots, which is also the name of his podcast. Please welcome, with theatrical applause to the neighborhood, Tony Dufresne. Shalom, Tony.
Oh, shalom, Rabbi Saul. It's such a treat to talk to you today.
Oh, and likewise. But Dufresne, are you French in origin? Where do your peoples come from?
It's actually French-Canadian, because my family on that side was from the UP of Michigan, and so that's kind of in that general area.
Oh, I know the UP, because I was at my urologist the other day, and he said, UP? And I said, as often as I can. That's comedy right there.
Hold on, you have to hold on for my laugh break there.
Oh, I will. I always hold on to things. But, you know, is there any Jew in you at all, or is it all like Canadian Catholic Francophone?
Yeah, it's actually the latter. I've got so much Catholic guilt, maybe I should convert, because it's a little too much on this side. Maybe it's a lot better on the other side.
Now, Tony Dufresne spent a good chunk of his early years basically in school. You're an academic. You have, you even say your PhD after your name. So did you feel that you would basically stay in an academic world and career?
Oh, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I barely got out of my undergrad because I found out that I was doing the wrong thing. I ended up with a finance degree, all things, back in the day. Once I got out of that, I realized I was not in a place where I wanted to be, and it took a number of different lives to get to the point where I finally, 10 years after that, I went back and decided to get my master's in psychology, and then from there, it kind of went along, and I decided to go for a philosophy degree, and that's where I ended up.
Gewalt! Who goes for a doctorate in an actual philosophy? What good is it? What do you do with it?
I put it on the back of my name, and it gets me 10% off at my nearest Circle K.
Believe me, I'm all for education, but seriously, you have this doctorate in applied philosophy. What did you do for your dissertation? Did you apply philosophy to something meaningful?
I did, actually. My dissertation has a long, terribly academic and boring name, but basically what I did was I took stories of finding meaning and finding purpose, and I created them in an anecdotal or an easy-to-read and understand way. And then I promoted it. I had a website project, and I promoted it on the website, and then they graded me in terms of how effective that was. That was my dissertation.
Now, who is your favorite overall philosopher?
I would have to say, oh boy, there's so many good ones. I would go back to probably Aristotle. I like the first principle stuff. Of course, you got Socrates, you got John Stuart Mill. I'm more in line with the guys that are more cheery and upbeat versus the guys who are the doom and gloomers, or the guys who see no meaning in anything. I'd rather have some meaning than not. So that's kind of why I gravitate towards those guys.
I'm basically more of a no-meaning guy, as you can tell by talking to me. But this is cool. So there's your academic stuff. But since you did applied philosophy, you've been doing applications all over the place. What's interesting is so often on this program, I end up talking to people who are actors or directors, they're filmmakers, and boom, from like 8 years old, they're singing, they know what they want to be, and they follow that path. They maybe have one or two little side careers or jobs as waiters and waitresses. But for the past 30 years, all they've been doing is what they knew they were going to do right from when they were kids. You bounce around like a pinball. So tell us a bit about what you've done career-wise.
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say for the record, I hate those guys. I hate those guys that know what they want to do when they're 2 years old, because most of us are out there, we don't know what the hell we want to do. Then we think we do because our parents tell us something, and then that ends up not being the case, and then our minds are just a big soupy mess, and then we try to bump our way through. And that's exactly what happened with me. I actually started out, and I really had a love for the arts. I've been doing music since I was 6 or 7 years old, and playing guitar and different instruments and being in bands, and I always loved that part. But my upbringing was pretty conservative and pretty middle class in regards to, you got to get out there and you got to get a good job, and that's the direction. So I just kind of went along with that. But I understood when I got into my first year of undergrad at college, that wasn't going to cut it for me. And so I just decided to basically blow my life up and self-sabotage myself to where all the things I started, because I started a business right after I got out, and I just blew it up because I couldn't take it anymore.
What was the business in, that first one?
The business was actually real estate appraising, because I started that when I was going to college, and because I had a friend of mine that was doing it and wanted some help in that, and I thought, it was one of those things where, you always fall back into something. I never chose it. It just sort of came about because I was waiting tables and I was in my band, and this is at the time right after, because I used to work at a radio station in L.A.
Well, we'll talk about that too, but let's stick with the appraising of houses. Why was that not a good career move back then anyway?
Because, well, it was a great career move if you wanted a good solid career and you wanted to make some money, because when I first got out and started my own business in appraising, I was making a lot of money as a 23-year-old kid. Too much, basically. But that's the whole thing about, you get into something and then you have the money that you always thought that was going to do it for you. You always thought that having that and getting a place and buying a boat or doing all that stuff or traveling all over the place is going to be fulfilling. And I started doing that, and I realized this is not fulfilling. There's something really wrong with this. And the wrong thing was I wasn't doing what I felt as though I was here to do. I wasn't, that was that thing that you just can't put your finger on, but you got to do something that's going to really get you hook, line, and sinker. And I knew from day one, really, that wasn't the case. My whole thing was, I just wanted to do it temporarily to make some money to pay off some loans, and then figure out what the hell I was going to do.
So in some ways, it was a wise move. And when you had to get out of it, as you said, you blew it up, and then you moved on to...
And then I moved on to, then I decided to go into my grad degree in psychology. So I went to Pepperdine, and because I wanted to go into, because I knew for a fact at that time that I had a kind of an interesting connection with people, that I could read them pretty well and I could understand them very well, and it was sort of a natural instinct that I had, and that just fascinated me, and I had such a passion for that, and such a passion for helping people in that instrument or using that vehicle. So that's when I decided to go back into night school. And at the time, as a little backstory, I was a single dad. I was taking care of my daughter And when I went back to grad school, because my first marriage, we got married, and we were married for about, 10 minutes. and we had our daughter. And then my ex-wife decided that she really didn't want to be a mom or a wife, in that order. And so then I was raising my daughter, and she was probably about 7 about 7 years old, when I felt as though it was okay for me to now, take another step. Because the last thing you want to do, and this goes back to what you were saying, it was a good move to do the appraising thing. It was a good move to get into real estate, just for the fact that it created a good, solid foundation for me.
And you pay off some loans. There are people who are 70 years old, they're still paying off their college loans.
Oh, yeah. I did. My daughter always says, she's gonna. The loans are gonna outlive her. Yeah. But it was a great thing, and there was a reason. There's always a reason for certain things to happen, and that did. It provided us a place where I could have the money to pay the bills and have a house, and at the same time go back and to follow my passion, my purpose project.
So, did you think you were going to become a shrink?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, and that's another little interesting turn, because I got into the PhD or the grad program to specifically go on to get my PhD to be a psychologist. That was the plan. However, it's like anything. It's like once you get into something, then you realize, well, wait a minute, I didn't know this about this. But you can't know that until you get in it.
Right.
And so once I got in it, I saw a lot of interesting things about therapy and about the system of therapy that I was not on board with at all. And because it's very political, and there's and the insurance stuff, and it's very limiting, and there's only certain things you can do. I wanted to just go nuts and to do as much as I could for whomever I was working with.
I think going nuts would not be the best phrase to use if you're going into psychotherapy. If you think about it.
Only with clients with a sense of humor.
Oh.
Right. And that's about a 50-50 shot, typically, depending upon, what time.
But here's a question for you, though. So, yes, we keep coming back to the money thing. You made some nice money as the real estate guy, but now you're paying for college. You're paying to go get a master's degree in psychology. You think you're going to be a psychologist, which makes good money, but you're not going to do that. And you're raising a kid. How are you paying your bills?
Well, I'm dancing at the Woo Woo Club Saturday and Sunday, brunch Sundays. It was great. No, I actually did. I still was in real estate. I was still doing some appraisal work, because I didn't want to give that up, because I knew that was the vehicle that was going to take me through and to get me to where I want to go. And it's like I tell my clients when I talk to them. You got to have your foot in both worlds. You can't deny the real world, the paying the bills, the having a house, the eating food. You can't deny that stuff if you're following your passion. I deal with a lot of people that are actors, and
well, they deny eating food. Callista Flockhart, those twins.
Well, it depends upon what you define as food.
Yeah.
But that's why they work in restaurants, and they just take the rest of the stuff that's not eaten, and they take it out the back door. I mean, believe me, I did that.
Oh.
So it's but it's a matter of you have to keep that. You got to keep that perspective and understand. You still got to pay the bills and go on. And you can do that. You can do that with doing your side gigs. I mean, hell, I was 30-something years old, and I had a 7-year-old daughter, and I had a condo that I was paying a mortgage on, and I was still doing it, and I was still going to night school and doing my training, and so it's possible.
Well, also, you seem, forgive me for saying this, but you do seem a little bit of a type A, and type A's can kind of make that happen a little better than some of the rest of us. Are you one of those people who cram 30 hours into a 24-hour day?
Only with the help of mega doses of caffeine, Rabbi.
There you go.
That really is the key to everything. I'm one of those guys that I get very ramped up, but it takes a while to get to that point. So I'm a huge procrastinator. So I will procrastinate like crazy until I realize that there's no way I can procrastinate any longer, and then I'll jump 110% into something. I honestly wish I didn't have that, but anytime I talk to my clients and they say, "Hey, I'm a big procrastinator," I said, "Well, I'm not going to throw stones at you, because so am I, and it's just a matter of trying to work through it and getting past that, so you have a little bit of a time where you can be productive and do the
no, fair. But so you blazed through, you pushed through, and you got that second degree in psychology, and then you decide, nope, not for me. Then what?
I did. I actually went to the one thing that made the difference was I was going for as a candidate, a PhD candidate. I was going for an interview at a college in LA because I'm originally from Southern California. So it was in like Azusa or LA. I can't remember the college exactly. I wouldn't say it anyway. But so I was there, and what they do is they have 3 candidates sit there, and they have 2 professors ask you questions back and forth to determine if they want you in their program, in their PhD program. So we're sitting there, and it was probably about 4 o'clock or so, and I know it was the end of the day. But this guy, the one guy, one of the professors, wouldn't look at anybody, would throw out his questions and basically stare at the ceiling. And I think I did this on purpose, but I actually said, he asked me a question directly and actually said, do you really even care what my answer is going to be? And I think that, first of all, right then and there, that didn't go well.
No.
That was a lead balloon in the room. Clearly, I didn't endear myself to him, because I thought, well, maybe it's a test. Maybe because we are psychologists, maybe, and maybe they're doing a little test on us. And it was not a test. And I did not get asked to the program. And it was right then and there that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And I decided to not go directly into psychotherapy, but I've always been interested in meaning and the reasons why and the philosophy behind things, because the philosophy is the meaning. The psychology and the therapy is more of the symptomology, dealing with symptoms and treating and curing things. But the basis of everything is meaning. So that's why I just decided to kind of go that route, especially after reading
Joseph Campbell, perhaps?
No, I love Campbell. It was Viktor Frankl.
Oh, okay.
The meaning, which is an amazing book. And he was a concentration camp victim, and he got down to really discovering it's called logotherapy, and he created it. He created his own philosophy. So after reading that, I realized that's what I wanted to do, and so then I decided I think the best thing to do is to combine them both. Combine the therapy along with what you can find from psychology, along with philosophy and meaning and understanding, so you can really create your own little map of what you want to do and what means things to you, and prioritize that, and then move forward.
So you are a life coach. You help people when they come into your office for a session. What do they see on your walls? They see, obviously, the college degrees, but do you have some kind of license or something that say, hey, I can practice so-and-so?
That's the big twist in the life coach thing, and that's why I don't call myself a life coach.
Oh.
If you ask anybody out there, and that's the problem. The problem is the life coach. Anybody can call themselves that. You can send in 3 box tops and 39 cents to some place, and they'll send you back a diploma that says you're a life coach. There really isn't a way to keep that in a more professional setting, and that's why I don't call myself that, and that's why I refer to myself based upon my academic background. And depending upon who I talk to, and that's the hardest part about this, and even Tony Robbins has gone through a number of transitions, and he's the biggest motivational helper guy out there, but he's called himself a life coach and a transition coach and a transformation coach, and I think he's calling himself a breakthrough coach now, or business coach. So it depends upon what people come in to me for. Usually I say I'm a millennial mentor, because the people that I work with are young adults, and most of the time they're going through transition. It's the quarter life crisis. It's getting out of school and getting into adulthood. I hate the term adulting, so I'm not going to use that, but I just did.
Okay.
Going into that process, and they're just confused and they don't know. And there's a lot of things that they weren't taught, and I just found that to be a very, very satisfying position for me to be in as a mentor, because I've been through it all. I've been through 1,000 different lives. I've been through 100 different jobs. I've been bankrupt twice.
Oh.
I've had 5 different businesses. And it's taken me a long journey to figure out what I want to do. And I got to tell you, at this point, I couldn't be more fulfilled right now, making all those choices.
I mean, 10 years from now, it could be different. 10 years, you could be so bored off your ass, or maybe half your clients end up committing suicide, and you're like, maybe I was not so good at this, but for now, it's perfect for you.
Right. Exactly, and that's the best part about it, though, isn't it, Rabbi? The fact that you can just you can redefine things. You can redefine yourself. You can choose a different path if you wish, and that's the best part about all of this, is because this is a journey. This is not you get someplace and then you start a campfire and then you just kick it, and then the rest of your life is just sitting around this one campsite. It's about going different places, doing different things, and experiencing different things, meeting different people, having different perspectives. That's what I love about it, and that's what I talk about in my book, and that's what I talk about in the podcast, and that's what my clients. I think what my clients like is my perspective, is the fact that you shouldn't be limited. You should be able to do what the hell you want to do.
Well, now you should explain the context of the title of your book as well as the title of your podcast, Surrounded by Idiots. I don't know if I would walk into a therapist or a coach who has that attitude that, if we're both in a room together and he's surrounded by idiots, that must be me. So you better explain it. Yeah.
Which I get every time, and I most of the time I have to say present company excluded, but it's old. And then I just say, yeah, so. But if you read through the book, the thing is that I honestly don't know one person who hasn't said that. Oh, God's honest truth. I mean, there hasn't been one person that I've talked to that hasn't said that in their mind or to somebody else, because it's just, that's what we think sometimes. We just think, people don't understand me, or I don't understand the world, or what the hell's going on, or why is that guy not using his turn signal, for Christ's sake? All it takes is just a flip of that's all I want. All I want, a flip of the finger, make a left turn, you're good, man. You're all good. But no, he doesn't do that. Why? Who the hell knows, right?
That's funny. It's true. Yeah.
So the whole point of Surrounded by Idiots, though, really is, and I'll give away a little bit of the thing about the book, because I talk about it in like the first 5 pages. Hey, listen, Rabbi, I'm an idiot too. I mean, that's the whole point. The point is that it comes from the perspective of, a lot of times when you're so frustrated with the world around you, or with people around you doing things like that, a lot of times it's just a commentary on me not being cool with where I'm at, me not being okay with myself, and me being frustrated, and me just needing an outlet to yell at the moron who just threw the cigarette butt out the window. So that's kind of where it's sort of a double meaning.
That's fair.
But it does get people's attention.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm glad you explained that, because, yes, it is a phrase that we've all said, but I'm kind of wondering how then you incorporate that into the book of saying, well, even though you are surrounded by idiots, you have to live your life and not worry about them. Is that kind of the overall theme?
That is exactly right to the point. It's all about turning inward and working on your damn self.
Wow. Or, in my case, my goddamn self, as I like to say. But anyway, this, goddammit, is Rabbi Sal Solomon. We're talking with the author and the motivator, Tony Dufresne. And you glossed over this thing that you have all these different jobs, and I get that. You have to pay the bills, you have to do all these odd jobs here and there. But one of your jobs was, in the late 1980s, you were a radio host on a pretty major station. So why was that not fulfilling? Or did they change format and you got shit canned? What happened?
It was, and absolutely yes, that's exactly what happened. So I was actually finished my first year of college, and that was when I started out as an engineer. I lasted about 3 weeks, and it took the point where I got into this classroom, and they said, "Can you draw a chair?" I said, "No," and they said, "Well, you're going to fail the class." I'm like, I guess engineering's not for me. So the rest of that year, being in a fraternity, and then dropping out everything, and then getting a D and a C, and drinking copious amounts of beer, it kind of led me to do some introspection and some thinking about what I want to do with my life. So one summer, it was like the summer of '84 or something, I'm driving along, and I go, and a buddy of mine's in the car, I go, you know what? I want to work in radio. He goes, well, okay. He goes, well, what are you going to do? I go, I don't know. I'm just going to go down to the station and see if they need any help. So the next day, it was a hot summer day, and I got into my little green, ugly Ford Courier truck called the Pickle. I didn't call it that; other people did. And I rolled down into Long Beach to the Farmers and Merchants building where KNAC was, 105.5 KNAC in Long Beach, in Los Angeles, and rolled up to the reception desk, and I said, "Hi, I'm Tony, and I want to work here. What can I do?" and the receptionist kind of looked at me like I was out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll sweep. I'll just do whatever you want me to do. She goes, well, we don't have anything like that. She says, but we do have an internship through Long Beach State, because they were pretty close to Long Beach State. And I said, oh, how do I get into that? She goes, well, you got to go to Long Beach State, and then you have to apply here. And I go, well, can I have the application now? So I got back in my truck. I went over to the admissions at Long Beach State, and I said, I'm at Cal State Fullerton right now. What do I need to do to get here? And they said, take these papers and this and that. And a week later, I transferred to Long Beach State, and I submitted my application to Nikki. She was the sales manager at the station, and they accepted me, and I started that summer. I started probably 3 weeks after I did that. I started as a marketing intern at KNAC.
Well, an unpaid marketing intern, fine. How long were you there overall, and at what point were you able to get in front of a microphone?
They kept me in sales for 2 weeks, and I hated it. But what I did was I was there all the time. And this was still when I was working at Disneyland, because I had a job at Disneyland. So I was still working there, and being transferred over, I had to take a summer class, so I was taking that. So I had one job, I had a summer class, and I was at the radio station I was literally there 24 hours a day.
Well, no wonder you were a lousy salesman. A salesman is supposed to be out getting on calls and taking people to lunch. No wonder you sucked as a salesman. Yeah.
Oh, I just sucked. I am the worst salesman of all time, and that's a whole other story. But I was just because I was there because I just wanted to get to know people, and I wanted to understand how it worked, because I didn't want to be in the sales department. I wanted to be on the radio.
Of course.
I wanted to spin the radio, and do that. So after being there for about 3 weeks, being there all the time, I got to be really good friends with Jimmy the St. Christopher. He was a program director there, and it just so happens that his intern was leaving, and this was still in that first 4 weeks that I was there. She left. He brought me in, and now all of a sudden, within a couple 3 weeks, now I was the programming intern. So now I was in programming intern, and I still stayed there the whole time. School started, and it was about 3 months after that, maybe 4 months, that he brought me on as assistant program director, and it was a meeting that they had. They had a meeting. It was an on-air talent meeting.
Oh.
They had it like every Tuesday afternoon or something. And he wanted Mary Jo was spinning. Mary Jo Godges was the DJ at the time, and she was spinning. And Jimmy turns to me and he goes, "Hey, do you want to take over?" I go, "Well, what do you mean take over?" He goes, "Just take over while we do our meeting." I'm like, "Holy shit!"
I hope you didn't say that on the air, but okay, yeah.
Oh no, mics were not open at the time. I go, "You got to be kidding me." He goes, "No." I go, "Okay," because I knew how. I watched them enough, so I knew how. This was back in the day of records, so we had turntables.
Oh yeah.
We were records and spinning and all that.
Did you have carts? Remember carts?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had carts. Yeah, we had the PSAs and the commercials on carts, and we had some backup songs on carts just in case the turntables went down. So he threw me in there. And I queued up my first. I slip queued my first. That's when you hold the record up and the turntable keeps going, so you can slip it in and it just go. It starts going.
Oh.
And I started off, and that was my first on air. It was so crazy that as soon as they all left to go to the meeting, I called my buddy Pete up immediately, and I said, "You're not going to believe this. I am running the show here."
Yeah.
So it's and that's what happened. I mean, I just got thrown into it. And then I started producing ads, the commercials. I started creating the commercials. I started getting on the air in the afternoons. I would do the fill-ins, and it was the time of my life, and it was the direction that I wanted to go because I had such a passion for music. I have such a passion for performing, and it was exactly what I wanted at the time. And a year or so later, got canned, because they changed format to hard rock and they wanted to boot everybody out. I looked for jobs. I was only 20 at the time. I looked for jobs, and I couldn't. Nobody would take me because I was too young. I did find one. I could do a weekend in some godforsaken lowlands of Wyoming. Not to disparage Wyoming, but this place was out in the middle of nowhere. I could have done that for $4 an hour.
Right.
But I'm like, nah, the hell with it. And then my other buddy called me up. He goes, "Hey man, we just came down to San Diego State and we're partying down here." And I go, "Okay, I'll just go down there and finish my degree." So that's how I got
well, it's I hate the ending of it, but the lead up was the perfect way. It's a way you're supposed to get into media back in the day. You pay your dues, but it doesn't take forever. But you learn the ropes, and you do all different things at the station, and then they say, hey, do this, and now we'll put you on to fill in for this person at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then we'll put you on at 11 o'clock at night, and 2 in the afternoon. I mean, that's... it was ideal up to the point, except that radio sucks because, what do you call it, programming directors think they know better, and
right.
Yeah,
and you know that a lot more than I do, but the experience that I had, and I did have regrets for a long time about not following through on that, not doing that because it was such a passion of mine. But if I did that, maybe I wouldn't have met my ex-wife. Maybe I wouldn't have had my amazing daughter. And there's a lot of stuff that you don't know what would have happened. I mean, I don't know.
Let me ask you, does podcasting fulfill the hole that kind of was missing in all those years after you left radio? Does it that need?
Oh, God, yes. It's an absolute need because I am still very good friends with Jimmy Christopher, my program director way back in the day. He's in Dallas now. He's bumped out all over that guy's been everywhere. PD, on air, news guy, sports guy, and now he's down he was at the Ticket in Dallas, and he's doing something. Anyway, I'm still good friends with him, and for 30 years or something, I've always told him, I'm going to get back in. I'm going to get back in. I'm going to do it somehow, some way, but I'm going to do this. And this podcast, to me, is an absolute thrill to me to do every single week. I absolutely love it.
Tell us a little bit about what we can hear, because they can listen at your website, which, by the way, is javabud.com. JAVABUD. javabud.com. And I guess that sort of refers to you do the kind of counseling and advice that two people having coffee together would get. So you're not like the stern, strict counseling PhD guy. You're like, hey, let's do coffee. Let me give you some advice. Am I sort of right on that?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing. I don't even really like using the PhD thing except for just the beginning intro on things, just to have a bit of a credential thing, because I went through 20 goddamn years of school. I mention it somewhere. So that's where that's mentioned. When I'm with a client or if I'm in, I don't mention that stuff because it's not about that. If I'm there helping a person, I want them to feel as though I'm just a good friend at a coffee shop that knows more than probably your best friend does about how to help you. And that's the relationship that I like to have with my clients. It's just sitting around with a cup of coffee, shooting the shit, and just trying to figure your stuff out. And
what
that's
do you do on the
bud. So it's coffee and a buddy together.
And on the podcast, though, since you're not doing it directly one-to-one with a person in a room, what do people who listen to the podcast, what are they listening for? What do you do on there?
I do. I talk a lot about motivational stuff, relationship stuff, peak performance, success. Really, it's about me sharing my experience, me sharing what I've learned, through academics, through real life, through being over 50 now, and having a 26-year-old daughter, and going through a lot of stuff. It's me talking about little life hacks and how to make things better. And really the bottom line, if you want to look at it from an overall grand 30,000-foot perspective, it's more about stop overthinking the room. These are the things that are important, that should be important. These are the things that are not important. And I try to make it fun, and I'll have people on and experts on and talk about different stuff. I'm going to have a buddy of mine that's a financial advisor, and he's going to talk about if you got $500 or $600 or you're just starting out in investing, where should you put it? Little stuff like that. So it's my whole thing is, and I say it in the show, I just want to help you make your life 1% better every day. That's it.
Whoa. Well, so in 100 days, basically, everything should be fantastic. I may have to call you.
If you do the math, if you do the math right, yeah.
I'd be happy with 18% better. Me being Jewish, if you can make my life 18% better, I'll take the noose from around my neck, at least temporarily. Now, let me ask you one thing. You mentioned
take that noose around your neck.
Now, the other thing that you mentioned in terms of a job, and I can't let this go, is that while you were on the radio, you were also working part-time at Disneyland. But you weren't in a costume. You weren't just one of these greeter Mickey Mouse people or cleaning up, throwing down pink sawdust for the vomit. What were you doing at Disneyland?
Rabbi, I was a submarine captain.
Which means?
I was Captain Tony on the submarine adventure. Well, we had at Disneyland, and I think at Disney World too, they had, back in the day, it was just called the Submarine Voyage. And there were, it's a submarine ride, it's in the water, and you climb on a sub, and you go through this thing, and you see fish, and then you go into this cave, and it's a whole thing. If you've been to Disneyland, hopefully, most people have gone on the submarines. And it was an amazing, I did it for 3 seasons. It was an amazing experience. I have to say that there were, for the purposes of chatting with you, I wanted to kind of encapsulate my experience as a submarine captain. And there were 3 questions that I usually got, or I got a lot when I was working there.
Yeah.
And the first question was, are you a real sub captain? And I had, and it depends on who asked me. If it was just anybody, I would say, well, no, because we looked like them. We had our hat, we had the badge, we had the epaulets and the whole thing. Now, if it was a cute girl, and I said, does that do something for you? Then I say, yes, I am a real captain. So that was the first thing, and that actually worked on occasion.
Well, good.
Believe it or not. The second thing is that people ask me, does it really go underwater? And I said, well, do you want it to go underwater? And if they said yes, and I said, well, yes, it does. The windows are under the water line, so you see under the water. If they said, no, I don't want it to go underwater, I say, okay, well, it doesn't, because just the windows are under the water.
Also, the top of the thing is still, it isn't completely submerged, because I've never been on this side. Yeah,
because if you see pictures of the submarine voyage, even to this day, because now they have the Nemo, they do the thing with Nemo on the voyage. And actually, I've been on there a couple of times, and it's a cute little show. I mean, it's not bad how they kind of reformed it into the Nemo thing. But it stays that way. It just stays where half of it's above water. The bottom half, where the windows are, it's in the water, so you can see the show under the water.
Now, wait, before you get to the third question that people ask you, I've got to ask you, even though it was half submerged and the wind, did you ever have panic attacks, or did it ever break down like a New York subway, and suddenly you're halfway through the ride and everybody feels they're underwater and stuck?
Yes and yes.
Oh.
I've had, and the best part was people that were foreigners who didn't talk English or anything, and all of a sudden, because I stand up, and for those of you who have been on the sub rides, the captain, the person who drives it, stands up in the middle. You can't see them because their feet are probably at your eye. But I stand up in the middle into the top area, and that's where I can see, because I'm above water the whole time. It's only the windows and below that's below, but that's below the water line. So I have people tugging on my legs and hitting me, and because or I hear this screaming, and all of a sudden somebody's having a claustrophobia attack, and I have to immediately radio in. The shutter falls off, and I get down there and I have to pop one of the hoods, and either the back or the front, and I've got to bring them up to there. I can't open it all the way because I've had a couple times where they've tried to completely climb out.
Sure. If you're having a panic attack, you're going to get out of there however you can. Yeah.
In the middle of the lagoon, right? So I had to hold on to them and make sure. But I put them at the top of the steps and cracked the hood open, and then they got their stuff together. And there was only one time where I had to go the rest of the ride with the hood cracked, and just to get them out and have their family keep them in the boat while I got this thing out. That didn't happen that often, though. The worst part was being in there during a very, very hot July or August day, because all of the ventilation from 37 people rise into my little teeny alcove. So it was. There's a lot of people that don't use deodorant in this world. Just saying.
Oh God. I realized. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the worst part. But the third question I always got was, and mostly from the kids, was, do you know Mickey Mouse?
Oh.
And I actually say, well, we share a break room, so I get to see him take off his head and light up Marlboro Red, and rant about how he only has 2 years left on his retirement, but he just doesn't know if he can hang on that long.
Good for you. Good man. I'd be even worse. I'd be like, yes, I know him intimately and biblically. And then
right.
Have Mommy and Daddy explain. That would be amusing.
Wouldn't that be Minnie Mouse? Or, in fact, I would probably prefer Daisy, but then that gets into a whole other realm.
Yeah, she makes me hold her ears. I don't know what that means. God. We're talking with Tony Dufresne, who is a life motivator, an author, a podcaster, a personal trainer. Speaking of personal training also, you're in very good shape. You said you're over 50 now. You do not look it. But the funny part is that people go looking for you on the interwebs, like other places besides your website, javabud.com. You know, there is another Tony Dufresne. And he's like this muscle-bound weightlifter guy. Are you related? Have you ever met him? Do you get his mail?
No, I don't, but it's funny because my girlfriend's mom, my current girlfriend's mom, about a year and a half ago when we first started dating, she went internet snooping on me and found that. And then when I first met her, she goes, "Oh, so you're from Cleveland?" Because he was from Cleveland, apparently. And I said, "Oh, no, I'm not from Cleveland. Where'd you get that?" She goes, "Oh, well, when you were bodybuilding and stuff." I'm like, "No, different guy, totally different guy." Although it is interesting that we both share a passion for fitness, and I've been a certified trainer for forever. But I'm not like that dude. I mean, that guy's just yoked. He's like performance, stage stuff, and I've never gotten to that point. But we have gotten confused for people who are trying to do a little internet snooping on me.
Well, you don't have to snoop. Just go to his website, javabud.com. Before we let you go, Tony, we do want to talk a little bit about this group of people that you're really most interested in, and this idea of millennials. Now, the older folks, they tend to fret about millennials taking over the world and taking away their goods and services and social programs, but you have a certain feeling about them.
Yeah, I think all that talk is a bunch of horseshit and I've actually done a number of shows on the fact that why millennials will take over the world and why they should. The people who they've gotten such a bad rap because they've gotten that whole entitlement thing and the trophy thing and all that. But that's any generation that is fearful of being overtaken tends to start lashing out. And the fact is that the young adults that I've been working with and the ones that I know, because my daughter's 26, and so I a great deal of her friends and people around, they have their shit together. They're much more grounded than us Gen Xers or the baby boomers were in general. They give more to charity. They have, and even though they're dealing with all this crap, this financial stuff, because they just got hosed. The American dream disintegrated in front of them because the recession happened.
Yeah.
Their parents lost all their wealth, and now they're sitting there having to get the student loans. And I can't even imagine myself getting out of college and having $120,000 in student loans, and then getting out and finding jobs that are paying you $45,000. I mean, I just can't even imagine.
But that is the reality. That is what they're dealing with. It's true.
That's exactly right. And so that's why, I got to tell you, it's like 98% of the time when clients come to me and I do my coaching with young adults, it's how can I be responsible and pay this stuff off and at the same time follow or find a purpose or follow my purpose or do something like a fun side gig or a passion project or take time to volunteer or anything like that. And it's all a matter of finding that balance and finding a way to create that balance. But I got to tell you, I'm very, very optimistic about the future, and I'm very optimistic about the fact that this group is coming up, and now they're the biggest generation. They're going to start coming up and getting into positions of power, which they already are. I really look forward to it because I got to tell you that the people that come to me, they know what they want, and it's not just about them. They're looking at it from a very wide perspective about what's best for everybody. How can we all move forward? How, the rising tide lifts all the boats. That's their mantra because they've seen what happens when you get too greedy, like the Gen Xers and the damn baby boomers, and get into it for yourself. And that's not what they want. And that's why I'm encouraged.
Well, I don't know. I'm Jewish, so I always feel a rising tide drowns everyone. but I like your perspective on life a little bit better. Tony Dufresne. I'm going to remind people one more time to go listen to his podcasts. He also has the book. It's, of course, called Surrounded by Idiots, but he is anything but. And it has been absolutely so much fun talking to my new Java Bud. And remember, his website is javabud.com. Tony Dufresne. Do find him. Do check him out. Do check out all the things he's doing. And who knows? Maybe in 5-10 years he'll be doing something completely different and will be just as exciting and interesting as it has been to have him on this program. Tony Dufresne, thank you so much, and shalom to you.
Shalom, Rabbi. That was an absolute blast. Thank you.
Tony Dufresne and Rabbi Sal Solomon, only here on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream, where it's about 20 to noon Mountain Time here in Greeley, Colorado. You are listening to the 658th episode of the program. We're here live every Saturday morning from 9 until noon or thereabouts Mountain Time, or 11 to 2 if you're on the East Coast. Want to send happy wishes to all the folks who've been watching and listening, including Sandy and Michael and Juan and John and Reggie and Kristen and Joe and all the folks who've been listening since the top of the show back at 9 o'clock. And we still have more to do. We have our Saturday Segue of Songs in the News. We have yet another magnificent installment of A Cow for Hansel. And what else we got to go do? Before we get to any of that, we do get a little bit cultural here. We talked a little bit about theater before. We love to talk about music and the arts. Well, what about poetry? For the past few weeks here on Dave's Gone By, we've made it our business to do a poem, a limerick, as it happens, because we're in Colorado, and it occurred to me there ought to be a poem about every possible city or town in this wonderful state. And so the problem, of course, is that limericks are a particularly vulgar sort of literature. They're intentionally bought, and they don't have to be. I mean, you look at Edward Lear, but generally the point of a limerick is it's almost like a joke. You go through it, and the punchline is going to be in some way shocking, horrible, or disgusting. With that in mind, please let us enjoy this week's Colorado Limerick of the Damned, which is dedicated to a little town here called Bayfield.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme, and likewise verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado,
Ah, yes. Time for a Colorado Limerick of the Damned here on Dave's Gone By. And again, it's dedicated every week to a different town in Colorado. Today's town is Bayfield. Bayfield, Colorado. A gifted soul singer from Bayfield was beaten to death in a hayfield. His gasping and groans, his hollers and moans made me think of a young Curtis Mayfield. Yes, that is our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, ladies and gentlemen. Please send your complaint letters to davesgoneby@aol.com, or you can message me right here on Facebook. Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the Facebook page. And just a reminder, please tell your friends, it's one of these weird Facebook things where for a while I'll get maybe one friend request per week, and then over the past 2 weeks it's just been this explosion of people, and I don't know if it's because we've had some fairly well-known guests on recently, like Wilson Germain Heredia from Rent, or we had Karen Finley, the very famous performance artist, and her friends and his friends, and those folks find us on Facebook, or if it's just this weird Facebook thing where they're suddenly recommending me as a friend to all these other people. But now I'm getting 10 or 20 friend requests a day, which is wonderful, and if they're real, I add them, and we have now about 4,700 friends and followers of the neighborhood. I think that's wonderful. 5,000 is actually the topper. If we end up hitting 5,000, I'm going to have to dump some people to let some new people on, which kind of sucks. But just letting you know that we still have room for some more. So if you know someone who would really enjoy this show, let them know that we're here every Saturday and send them to this Facebook page and make sure that you and they don't just like us, don't just make us friends, but put us as follow first, which means that whenever we go on live or post anything, it goes right into your messages in Facebook and it tells you, hey, Dave just posted something, or Dave's live on camera now. Don't forget, it's Saturday morning. Join him in the neighborhood. That would be really, really great. But Dave's Gone By is the name of the program, and the segment that we're doing, and it's one of my favorites because basically I don't have to write or invent anything. Somebody else has done all the hard work. Her name was Erna Holier, and the name of the segment is Storytime.
Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story, remember what you said. You promised me, you said you would, you gotta give in so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed.
Tell me a story indeed. So we've been telling this story for a very long time now. I will repeat as quickly as I can the birth of this, the nascence of a cow for Hansel. Many, many, many weeks ago, we brought our Subaru in to have its brake pads changed, and at the auto service place that we use, they had a bin of books, for when people who are stuck there and killing time and they have children. So they have the usual newspapers and books and auto magazines and Dr. Seuss things, plus this book from 1967 written by Erna Holier. I know it says Ernie because they probably want a male name on this to sell this book to boys, but no, it's Erna Holier, and she is telling the story of Hansel, a poor German farm boy. Basically, I'm thinking from the feeling of this, it's late 1800s is when this is going on. So it's pre-Hitler, it's the Ferdinand and all of that. His parents are poor but loving, and they've suffered a terrible thing. All the cows in the town pretty much have died or stopped giving milk from a cow plague. In Oberhausen is the place they are in Germany. So the parents send Hans off a couple of houses down to work for another farmer. This farmer is Mr. Kaiser. He's got a son, Sepp. He's got a couple of daughters. So Hans works there over the summer to make extra money that his family needs, and also to work a small patch of land that was seemingly non-arable, and yet Hans worked it, and he grew a really mighty and beautiful crop of potatoes, which Hans brought to market to try and sell. And if you sell the potatoes, then Hans could actually buy a good, healthy cow that they could then mate and then milk and etc., and really reverse the fortunes of the family farm. So Hans, in our most recent installments, has harvested the potatoes. He and Sepp have gone to market, but it's been a good harvest for everybody. So the prices were a lot lower than Hans was expecting and hoping for. So Hans got the money for the potatoes, and now he goes to buy whatever he can with it. He doesn't have enough money to buy a fucking cow, but he is able to buy a pretty young calf that will be a worthwhile, workable cow in another 2 years if he can just hold off on it. And he also has a little left over, so he's able to buy some chickens. Yay, great news. Hans is not thrilled, but he's at least somewhat happy in the sense that now he can go home, bring his family something, and help out with the money that he's made working so hard on the Kaiser farm. Okay, so Hans heads home, but as he heads home, he overhears the evil veterinarian of the town, a man who wants his money. So evil veterinarian is going to be played by this potato with a mustache and the unibrow. Evil veterinarian potato. Hans's mother is going to be played by our couch potato chicken. We're going to see how this works. It's not going to work at all, but we're going to try it anyway. And then, of course, there's Hans. He overhears the veterinarian, who has not been paid in a while. Not that the veterinarian was particularly good, since the cows all died anyway, but he wants his money, and Hans's family's just been too poor to finish paying him off. They've been giving him a little money here and there as best they can, but now the veterinarian wants his full payment, and he's yelling at the mother, demanding it. And the mother's saying, look, we don't have it. Hopefully Hans, he's coming back from market, he'll have, he'll have bought a cow and maybe some money left over, he'll pay you off. Hans hears this and he realizes he has no money left over, and he spent it on getting some lunch and also the little calf and the chickens. What will happen in this installment of, there it is, A Cow for Hansel? Troubled Days. That should tell you something right there. Okay. The 10 marks in the cookie jar were badly needed for food. Hans kept reproaching himself for spending all his money. He knocked and then walked into the living room. "Good day, Doctor." "Hello, Mama," he said. Good. Actually, I should get the chicken up here, shouldn't I? Okay. Here's Mama. Here's Hans's mother. "Good day, my good boy. I trust you have brought some cash." Oh, actually, no, this is not Hans's mother talking. This is the evil veterinarian. Sorry. Veterinarian says, "Good day, my good boy. I trust you have brought some cash from town," the veterinarian said unctuously. Yeah, I don't know what age group this book is for, but unctuously. Good word. "No, sir. I spent my cash." "Then you did buy a cow," Mama gasped. "Ah!" There's Mama gasping. "No, I did not have enough money for a cow." Hans felt hot under his jacket. "What do you mean? No cash? No cow? You're a slick one. That's what you are." The veterinarian's eyes bulged behind his thick, black-rimmed glasses. Well, it's more of a black-rimmed mustache here. Eyes bulging. And look, he has other eyes that bulge as well. See all those little bulgy veterinarian eyes. "Yeah, I bought something, but it isn't a cow." Hans led the way to the barn. "The heifer and the chickens. If you want to take them in place of cash, that's fine with me," Hans offered, hoping he wouldn't be taken up on it. The veterinarian appraised the heifer. His puffy reddish face wore a satisfied expression when he straightened up. Then he frowned. "You've been taken, let's face it," the veterinarian taunted. "She's not a miserable runt," Hans defended. "Her mother is the handsomest cow I ever saw, and she would be just like her. The dealer said so." The veterinarian smiled condescendingly. All right, I will take her with the chickens, even though it is less than my bill. Bring a good rope so I can take her home." "How are you going to get her to town?" asked Hans, handing him a rope. "In my car, of course. I have the back seat out." The veterinarian put the heifer on the floor of the car and proceeded to bind her. The heifer lashed out with her feet. Her pleading eyes cut Hans to the quick. He could not stand to watch the cruel man, and turned away. "That is enough cruelty, Doctor," interrupted Mama. "Stop right this minute." Her voice was firm. Then she yanked the rope right out of the veterinarian's hands. Hans had never seen Mama show so much anger before. I just noticed how insanely ridiculous this chicken looks. But okay. "What's this all about, Frau Hohenleitner?" the veterinarian barked. "Bark, bark, bark, bark. This heifer is my boy's property, and she's going to remain here." Mama faced the veterinarian unflinchingly. See, I'm going to try and make him flinch. Nope, didn't. Well, she did actually flinch. Wah! Yeah. Nope, see, not flinching, Mama. "If that's the case, I want the cash, and I want it now. You will pay the rent." "I can't pay the rent." "You will." Yes, he wants. The veterinarian said unflinchingly also. No, she was unflinching. Now the veterinarian's glaring and being unflinching in his own way. "I want The cash, I want it now, he glared. We don't have any cash right now, but you can take the 10 marks from the cookie jar. In that case, you will have to pay the balance by the 1st of November, and mark my words. And these are about marks anyway. If the bill is not paid off by then, I'll take the matter to court. Good day. Mama thrust the barn door open. The veterinarian left hurriedly. Mama slammed the door shut with a bang. She had never acted like this before. Why did you run him off, Mama? Asked Hans. Mama hugged him. Aw. I didn't think it was right for him to take your heifer, Hansel. Someday she will be a fine cow. If God is willing, she'll still be having calves when you're a grown man. But what about the veterinarian, Mama? He knew she will make a good cow, and I could see that he was eager to get her. He had no right to take her away. We'll pay off his bill somehow. We have more than a month in which to save money. The veterinarian's threat worried Hans all the time now. He blamed himself for not having worked for wages. Mr. Kaiser let him work the farm instead of being paid, his usual salary. Hans continued to help Mr. Kaiser with the potato harvest even after school started. By mid-October, the fields were cleared and the crop was taken to market. Hans's contract with Mr. Kaiser was up. Telling the Kaisers goodbye was harder than Hans had thought possible. Mother Kaiser blinked back the tears as she told him goodbye. So long, Hansel. Hansel felt a lump in his throat, possibly cancerous. Mother Kaiser had treated him as if he were her own grandson. Thanks for everything, Mother Kaiser. Sepp and his sister Stacy joked about Hans going away, which made parting easier. Don't forget to come to my wedding, Stacy reminded. Mr. Kaiser gave Hans the mark for Hans's last week with him. You've been a good worker this summer, Hans. Thanks. I am sorry you did not get as much money as you had hoped. He exchanged a firm handshake with Hans. Mr. Kaiser could, he's doing all right. He could give Hans a little more than a little bonus wouldn't kill him. May God be with you, Hansel. Frau Braun gripped Hans's hands in her warm, spontaneous way. May he bless you for all you have done for us, she whispered. Hans plodded down the path to his parents' house. He felt weary from the hard work in the potato fields. There's a potato again. This is his field. Cool. And Mama insisted he rest for a day or so, except for going to school, and Hans was glad to comply. But before this time was up, he was feeling as fresh as ever. When do I start to graze the sheep in the ravine? He asked one morning as he ate breakfast. Papa says you should hoe your potato field once more. Your chickens are lusty eaters and will need all the potatoes we can get to feed them through the winter. Mama pointed to the big potato boiler on the stove. Ooh, I know, don't be scared, Potato. There is some element of horror to the story. They eat about 10 pounds every day. Hans carried his empty dishes to the sink, then hurried off to school. And that afternoon, when school let out, he slipped a matchbox into his pocket and went out to the shed. Whistling, he loaded the cart with burlap sacks, string, a bucket, and a hoe. Don't forget your lunch, Hansel, Mama called as she took his rucksack to him. You never seem to think of your stomach, she scolded him good-naturedly. Thanks, Mama. Hans put the rucksack on the cart and set out for his field. Red and yellow autumn hues had turned trees and shrubs into fiery jewels. Nice little metaphor there, huh? Hans loved the blazing fall colors. We're going to leave it there for Hans, a cow, for Hansel. We are, by the way, more than a quarter of the way, or 3/4 of the way through the book. I promise you that. If you hang with me for another 3, maybe 4 weeks, we will finish A Cow for Hansel by Erna Hollier. I absolutely promise that. And I certainly want to thank, for helping that, the cast of characters here. We had, I will remind you, Mrs. Bokbagok, our couch potato chicken, she was playing Hans's mother. Take a bow. Thank you very much. And then, of course, as evil potato, or excuse me, as the evil veterinarian, kind of a contradiction in terms there, isn't it? But evil veterinarian, here we have Shaggy Potato with its glandular condition. But we think he's really very, very sweet. He's so believable that you feel angry and mean towards him. But no, he's really wonderful. And thank you, Potato, for taking part. Welcome. And that was A Cow for Hansel for this Saturday, July 7th, 2018, on the Day of Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. It is 12:01 in the afternoon, Mountain Time, here in Greeley, 2:01 Eastern Time. Are we done with the show? Because this is about the time the show should be over. No, of course not. We have a bit more to do, as we always do. That's why we always say the show ends in the thereabouts portion of noon, because we like to cram it with cool, fun stuff. As a matter of fact, we got one more really great segment that I love to do. It's the Saturday Segue of songs in the news. So stick around for that. But before that, I want to say a thank you one more time to our new friend of the neighborhood, Tony Dufresne, who was talking to Rabbi Sal Solomon a little while earlier. Remember, here's his book, which you can get a copy of by going to his website, javabud.com. Tony Dufresne, the book is Surrounded by Idiots. JavaBud is also the place where you can find his podcast. It's also called Surrounded by Idiots. He is no idiot, believe me, for appearing on the Dave's Gone By program, but he is now a friend of the neighborhood. And every week, we let you know what our friends, what people who've been on the show in the past, are up to. Okay, that'll be pleasant underneath. So, let's find out what friends of the neighborhood have been doing. For example, our friend actress Tamara Tooney. I didn't realize this, but she's in this very popular show that my wife is watching now on Netflix called Dietland. She has a big major role on there, bigger than the role that we all saw her on in Law and Order. So congratulations to Tamara Tooney for her work on Dietland. I want to let you know that playing locally at the Candlelight Playhouse, it's a dinner theater, one of the last dinner theaters in America, perhaps, is here in northern Colorado, in Johnstown, I believe it is. They just reviewed it this week in the Greeley Tribune. They're doing the musical Newsies, which is co-written by our friend of the neighborhood, Alan Menken. So go see Newsies at Candlelight Dinner Playhouse. I think it's running through the middle of August. There's a new talk show on AM New York Radio, AM 970. It's called The Answer. But here's the answer for your listening pleasure on Saturday mornings. It's Valerie Smaldone with her new show, Bagels and Broadway. If there's a show that I should be hosting, it should be called Bagels and Broadway. But the Valerie Smaldone, she's been on radio for many years. She's wonderful. She has this new program Saturday mornings, and the great thing is it doesn't conflict with this show because it starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on AM 970, The Answer. So you can listen to Valerie Smaldone Saturday mornings at 9 Eastern, and then tune into this show at 11, which is perfect. And of course, if you're in Colorado, you can hear Valerie's show at 7 in the morning on Saturdays. So again, congratulations. We mentioned Wilson Germain Heredia, cast member from the original production of Rent on Broadway. He's in a musical at the New York Musical Festival, and it is called Pedro Pan. You can find out more about that at nymf.org, and that is running from July 10th through the 14th in Manhattan. Running now through late August, the National Yiddish Theater is doing its production of Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish. Check it out. It's being directed by the one and only Joel Gray. It'd be great to have him in the neighborhood. But we have had their musical director, Zalman Mlatek, on the program. So everybody check out Fiddler on the Roof. I should find out what the Yiddish title of that is. It's like Fiddler auf den Rufensacken. That's more German-esque, isn't it? Anyway, that's happening in New York through late August. Happening through mid-August, speaking of Yiddishal things, Alan Lewis Rickman is starring in a show called Tevye Served Raw, which is other Sholem Aleichem stories, many of them about Tevye. I mean, there's more to him than just Fiddler on the Roof and the Daughters and leaving on a Tefka. So if you want to see that, Tevye Served Raw is being done at the Playroom. It features Alan Lewis Rickman, our friend. Now, through late August, it wouldn't be a week in Friends of the Neighborhood if Austin Pendleton wasn't doing something. Well, here's the deal. Austin Pendleton is directing a play called The Saintliness of Marjorie Kemp, and that is happening at the Duke Theater on West 42nd Street now through late August. Our wonderful folk singer-songwriter friend Christine Lavin, she is going to be at Birdland on July 12th, this Thursday, Birdland on West 44th Street. The show is at 7 o'clock, and I do believe tickets are either really cheap or even free. So Christine Lavin, for gosh sakes, go see her this Thursday night. And then on Friday night, Eliza Gilkison will release her new urban folk album. It's called Secularia. That title will sell a lot of copies, come on. But Secularia, it's being released by Red House Records and features such guests as Sean Colvin and others. But congrats to Eliza Gilkison on her new record. And then, let's see, Melissa Manchester is going to be at Feinstein's 54 Below. She was on our program back in 2012. She will be there for 3 nights, July 13th through the 15th at Feinstein's. And speaking of July 13th through the 15th, Jessica Molaski is workshopping. She's in a new musical by Jason Robert Brown. It's called The Connector. It's part of the season of New York Stage and Film / Vassar Powerhouse up in Poughkeepsie, New York. So if you feel like traveling upstate and you want to see a workshop of a new musical by an important Broadway composer, Jason Robert Brown, it's called The Connector, and that's happening from the 13th through the 15th. Playing now for another week, our director friend Bob Kalfin is staging the dark comedy The Property for the New Light Theater Company. That is at the Harold Clurman Theater on Theater Row. And our wonderful friend Will Manis, he is a theater critic. If you go to totaltheater.com, you can read his reviews of Los Angeles theater, but he's getting great reviews for his own play. It's called Their Finest Hour, and it's about the friendship, sometimes strained, between Edward R. Murrow and Winston Churchill. This is playing in California. It's at the Brick House Theater in North Hollywood. Check out the reviews on this. Ed Rampell, writing for Hollywood Progressive, wrote, "Thrilling! Among the finest 2 hours this reviewer has ever spent in a theater." And then you've got NoHo Arts District. They have a review of the show saying that spending a little time with 2 brave and moral souls is much needed and almost medicinal. I certainly felt a lot better for it. This is all for Willard Manis's play, The Finest Hour, playing in California. Right Act Repertory is the theater company doing it, and again, that's in North Hollywood at the Brick House through July 22nd. Playing through August 5th at Boston's Emerson Colonial Theater is the Broadway-bound musical Moulin Rouge, and Danny Burston, our friend of the neighborhood, he was on our Tony show back in 2006. So Danny Burston in Moulin Rouge now through August 5th. And then also through August 5th, reminding you that it's just a couple of more weeks on Broadway to catch A Bronx Tale, the musical version of Chaz Palminteri's solo show. He's in it now. He also co-wrote it with our friends Alan Menken and with Glenn Slater. Duh, of course. A Bronx Tale on Broadway at the Longacre Theater. At the Barrymore Theater on Broadway, the multi-Tony Award-winning wonderful musical, The Band's Visit, co-written by our friend David Yazbek. Go see it. Desperate Measures off-Broadway at the York Theater. That features music by our friend David Friedman. School of Rock. We were talking about Andrew Lloyd Webber before. Alas, he has not yet been on this program. But the co-writer of School of Rock, Glenn Slater, has been, so go see it at the Winter Garden Theater, and that is a very, very enjoyable and funny musical, by the way. Really like School of Rock. I have not seen Summer, the Donna Summer musical, but you can at the L'Enfantin Theater, and if you do, you'll see our friend LaChanze in there. And just a couple of more friends to mention for this week. Want to let you know, as always, Evan Seplow, our great friend, his website, StageBuddy.com, is a great place to find out about New York nightlife. Dr. Demento, still doing brand new Dr. Demento shows and archiving hundreds of the old ones at drdemento.com. Want to let you know, of course, that Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake co-host the Manhattan Cable TV Theater Review Series 2 on the Isle every other week. And Eva Heinemann, she has her own theater review show called High Drama, also on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And finally, the one and only Bob Cudmore, doing podcasts about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Neighborhood. Alrighty, it's about 10 minutes after 12 here in the Neighborhood. Mountain Time with me, Dave Lefkowitz. Got one more piece of business to do on the 658th episode of Dave's Gone By. But it's a good one. It's a fun one. It's a musical one. Yeah, I admit, it used to be a lot more fun when I could play more of the songs without fear of Facebook cutting me off or threatening me with legal action for playing copyrighted music. So we're going to play very short passages of these songs. But the game is still afoot. Your job is to listen to as much of the song as I can play and then decide, hey, why is Dave playing that this week? What's been happening in the news and current events that relates to the title of the song, the theme of the song, or maybe who's singing it or performing it? So there's the fun of hearing the music, but also that little bit of a quiz of like, aha, I know why Dave is playing that. So, for example, why would Dave be playing this?
Money and corruption are ruining the land. Crooked politicians betray the working man. Pocketing the profits and treating us like sheep. We're tired of hearing promises we know they'll never keep. Money and corruption.
The unmistakable voice there, by the way, of Ray Davis, the band The Kinks, a lesser-known album of theirs, Preservation Act 1. Never been able to get through the entire Preservation CDs, let alone Act 1, not even Act 2. And yet there's some wonderful stuff on it, by the way. But that is a song called Money and Corruption. Money and Corruption. Why would we be playing that on this Saturday Segue on Dave's Gone By? The answer is, well, money and corruption finally led to the resignation of Scott Pruitt, head of the Environmental Protection Agency, a raft of corruption charges on this horrible man. I mean, some of the stuff I don't care about, even though he's wasting taxpayer money. He rented a condo in Washington, D.C. for the spouse of a friend, but the friend was a prominent fossil fuel lobbyist's wife. Head of the EPA. Does that tell you something? Pruitt also took first-class plane trips. He had ridiculous budget-busting security detail because he thought people were after him. People should have been after him. And this is amazing. He requested, and I guess received, a $43,000 soundproof booth for his phone calls. Was he afraid the Russians were listening in? All he had to do was tell Trump to tell Putin, hey, stop putting your ear to the door. And he had 13 other inquiries. I mean, this Pruitt guy, aside from being a shill, aside from, I'm sure, rolling back all the things that have kept our water and air a little bit less polluted than it had been before. I mean, and the funny part is now they're saying the guy that Trump is bringing in to replace Pruitt is going to be even worse for the environment than Pruitt was for the EPA. Even so, let's go after this guy. Let's destroy this Scott Pruitt. Good riddance to him, and may he get many, many, many years of prison, not just for the monetary fraud, but just for having someone in a position that's supposed to be protecting the air we breathe and the water that we drink and swim in, and instead he's part of the problem. So, farewell, Scott Pruitt. That is why we played Money and Corruption by the Kinks from Preservation Act 1. Well, now you know why we're playing what we're playing on this Saturday Segue of Dave's Gone By. Let's hear another piece of music. There's no singing, no talking in this one, but hopefully, well, you might recognize it because it's pretty iconic. Kind of an unmistakable guitar tone there. One and only Ry Cooder playing the guitar on that slide guitar, of course, from, well, if I give away the movie, I give it away, but I'll give it away. That's the reason we're playing a song called Dark Was the Night. It's the ending music, if you will, for, I think, one of the great films of the 1980s, and one of my favorite films of all time, a movie called Paris, Texas, film made by Wim Wenders, the German director, and lensed by, here's what we're getting at, the cinematographer Rabbi Mueller. Well, alas, Rabbi Mueller passed away this week on Tuesday at the age of 78. He had this weird thing called Binswanger's disease, which affects blood vessels. So not only does it affect the way you breathe and walk and move, but it even affects your brain stuff because blood isn't getting there, so it causes dementia. It sounds like a really horrible disease that Rabbi Mueller died of. But up until then, what he did for movies in the 1980s and 90s was incalculable. This is a man who shot Breaking the Waves, Repo Man, To Live and Die in L.A., and a few Wim Wenders movies, including Alice in the Cities, the Buena Vista Social Club, as well as the great Paris, Texas. I mean, yeah, you knew Paris, Texas was going to be a great film from the minute it opened up. And you saw that bleached sunscape American landscape, and Travis in that red cap walking along in kind of parched nothingness with Ry Cooder's guitar going. And there's a wonderful article somewhere on the web about the color scheme of Paris, Texas, and how it's very clear in some scenes where there's a red, white, and blue element in the frame all the time, and then in other scenes they're represented by greens and garish neon colors. And, you don't understand that stuff while you're watching it. That's why you have film historians and film scholars. But if you've never seen Paris, Texas, or you saw it a long time ago, get it, rent it, watch it on a big screen in a dark room. It's touching, it's gripping, it's a beautiful piece of work, and Rabbi Mueller's cinematography is very, very much a part of that. So farewell to the great cinematographer Rabbi Mueller. Wenders, the film director, met Rabbi Mueller when Wenders was still in film school, and Wenders said about him, "I was very impressed by this super cool guy who could pull focus with one hand and roll a cigarette in the other. He was able to seize moods and to describe situations in your imagery that revealed more about the characters than long dialogues or dramaturgical structures ever could." And I think, again, if you see some of those Wenders films, or To Live and Die in L.A. and films like that, it's absolutely true. Anyway, we're in Dave's Gone By here. We're doing our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. Oh, before I get to the next one, I don't have a song for this, but alas, we also lost another important European filmmaker last week, Claude Lanzmann, who directed the epic Holocaust documentary Shoah back in 1985, and he did a lot of other documentaries after that, but none with that impact, because the thing was like 9 hours long. Shoah, he died this past week. I didn't realize he was the partner for a decade of Simone de Beauvoir, I mean, they weren't together when he died last week, but, well, she died earlier. So, but farewell to him as well, Claude Langsman. But anyway, moving on to someone who, more bad news. Yeah, the Ramones there, of course, with their version of the Spider-Man theme. Why would I be playing that today? Well, hey, sweetie, how you doing? Look who's come back, and she's brought me my beloved and delicious...
Yeah, there's some kind of camp, so the thing was open. I just have a little allergy thing, so
sorry. Come stay here where...
I have the journal article out, but I want to...
Oh, Miss Mazel, you want to talk about it, or no?
Oh, no, it's good. I wanted to thank you for your editing. I got you a shake.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Hey, we're going to shake, rattle, and roll. This is a visual joke that the audio recording will not get, but anyway. So we're very close to, we're about 10 minutes away from finishing the show, Bev. So, we're in the middle.
It's early today.
Yeah, right. Well, I didn't do the dictionary this week because I did a long potato segment.
You don't want to do it? We could do it.
We could, or do I? No, we're
tired,
good.
yeah.
We're in overtime anyway. But we're in the middle of doing. Oh, here, let me ask you.
Yeah?
Why, in our Saturday segue of songs in the news, why would we have played?
I'm doing this for cool, not good for Kreskin. Try your shake. Is it good?
Oh, bet it is. Oh, the healing power of chocolate.
Yes, amen.
Thank you very, very much for that.
No, thank you.
But anyway.
Thank you for your brain.
Okay, you're welcome. So, why would I have just played the Ramones doing Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever...
Because of the movie Spider-Man and the Micronutrient.
I couldn't... I love that! The Micronutrient! What a wonderful title!
Isn't his name Spider-Man and
it's just
Wasp? Wasp.
It's Ant-Man and the Wasp something.
Ass-Man? Ass-Man?
Kind of a boob man myself, but okay, no. No, it's not as happy a news as that, although Marvel does have this big movie. I didn't think of that.
Stan Lee is dead, right?
No. Stan Lee is alive and not very well. Stan Lee, one of the creators of Spider-Man.
Queens native. Hoot.
That's right. Hoot. And also a native, I didn't realize, he lived in Hewlett and Woodmere for a bunch of years before moving to the West Coast. But Stan Lee has been in the news because of, he's suing his personal affairs manager, and somebody's suing him because, this is horrible. This is not the reason I played the song, but apparently TMZ is reporting that Stan Lee got a couple of...
It should be called TMI.
Yeah. Because he's 92, he's okay.
God bless him.
So he went for a couple of massages.
Good.
And the massage therapist said, a nice young female woman type person, that while she was his legs... He was whipping what's left of his you-know-what out, and wacky woo, and actually put it on her leg. It's like, her arm or something.
Why didn't she just say stop?
She apparently did, and left. Well, she's paying $250 an hour to rub up on Stan Lee, but she's not that kind of massage. She's a real therapist. She was not happy. So apparently he's being sued, the manager's being sued, he's suing his ex-partner.
He should just say he has dementia and get out of it.
Well, that's the thing. There's things of he's being treated abusively, like elder abuse. Every other minute there's some court case involving Stan Lee at this point. And he's 92.
I'll take care of him, bring him out here.
But that is not the reason we played Spider-Man.
Why?
Because Spider-Man was not created just by Stan Lee. Spider-Man was co-created by Stan Lee and by...
Oh, Jesus?
A fellow named Steve Ditko. Whole point of that is Stan Lee was always that face of Marvel Comics.
You never
he
hear
was the
about
man.
Steve
Let me
Ditko.
angle this way.
Steve Ditko.
He was the real, true, quiet comic book nerd. But he is the guy...
Like Apple, they had that with Apple, too.
So, Ditko was the guy who designed Spider-Man's look. Who did the thing with the web coming out of the hand. He designed the whole idea, not the idea for Spider-Man, but the conception of how he would really be.
The trademarkable stuff.
Well, Steve Ditko passed away at the age of 90.
Steve Ditko did go.
He did go. This is the really sad part. One assumes he really was an introvert loner. I don't think he wasn't destitute, but what happens when you get really old and you have no family and you're out of a friends loop? He apparently died back in late June, and we've only been told about this a day or two ago.
Poor man.
Stan Lee, meanwhile, he was the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics back in 1961, and then one of the cartoonists there was Ditko. Lee gave the Spider-Man idea to some cartoonist to work on. He didn't like the results. So he gave the idea then to Ditko to do it. Ditko ran with it, made it iconic. Ditko was also the man who created the Green Goblin and Doc Ock.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Octopus, as well as a later comic called Doctor Strange. Not surprisingly, Ditko had a falling out with Stan Lee and left Marvel Comics. He did return in the 1980s and 90s to do other stuff, including something I'd never heard of, but apparently was trying to get women. Because comic books, if you've ever seen, the Big Bang Theory, it's a guy thing.
Yeah.
Well, he created Squirrel Girl. Apparently that was a thing. Squirrel.
I'm sure no woman likes something called
Squirrel Girl. Yeah, I don't know.
What'd she do? Bury her nuts? I mean, that's a horrible.
Hey, she had a nice piece of tail, I'll tell you. Oh! I would have liked Marmot Man. That would have been cute. But anyway.
It makes no sense.
And also Ditko just probably resented the extroverted Stan Lee for Lee got all the credit for work that was done by the two of them. And Ditko was he was nicknamed the J.D. Salinger of comics. He didn't do interviews. He was really, he just wanted to be,
rolls off your tongue.
And what happened was there was another cartoonist who would come visit him. He was one of the only people that Ditko wanted to deal with or to see. Yeah. And he said up till, Ditko died at 90. Yeah. But up to the last weeks and days, Ditko would just be there drawing either for himself or working on stuff. He would just that's what he wanted to do. That was the life he chose to lead.
It's like Dickinson.
Yeah, yes, in a manner of speaking. By the way, Stan Lee is 95.
Yay!
Wow. Ditko was only 90. When he passed away this Saturday, he passed away in late June, but they just brought out the news yesterday.
They should make a little cartoon on his tombstone, like a little,
Oh, that would be cool, wouldn't it? The real Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Loner man, stays away from crowds and people.
I had a guy who liked me in high school who used to draw cartoon stuff.
Yeah. Did anything become of him? Have you ever Facebooked and...
I'm sure.
Well, what was his name? Well, don't say the whole name.
I can't remember his last name.
Sure I'm sure you can. Yeah, you can. Anyway, let's do one more.
I have to get my yearbook.
Oh, where is it? Is it in your old folks' house?
I destroy everything. I don't want anything.
Wow. All right. Anyway, one more Saturday Segue song for this Saturday, July 7th, 2018, on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. So again, you've got to figure out... Oh, and this is so cool. You'll get this. Tell me. Another piece of news, and we even talked about... Don't look at the title.
I'm not looking.
Here's the song, Why Are We Playing This?
Hot dog, my baby's coming home. Hot dog, my baby's coming home. Hot dog, my baby's coming home. Hot dog, my baby's coming home.
I know that one for Joey Chestnuts.
That's right. I couldn't resist talking about this earlier, but just a reminder that on July 4th, Joey Chestnut, the God, broke the Nathan's 4th of July hot dog eating contest record.
Sweet.
Yeah, well, of course, it's a chocolate shake. Yeah.
Ooh.
74 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Oh, my God.
Despite defeat and disgrace, almost.
Well, nothing of his fault.
No.
It's just the counters.
You can't get a good wiener counter.
Not going there. Anyway, this was his 11th win at the Nathan's hot dog counting contest, or eating contest. Mickey
He's
Sugo.
not the spam-eating king, though.
Oh, God. No, there is somebody else who eat spam. There's an eating contest for everything now. But Nathan's does only the hot dogs. And I was even wrong about Mickey Sugo before. She didn't even eat 39. She ate 37. That's not even... I could eat 37 hot dogs.
Sad.
No, I couldn't. Let's see. Now, Thursday morning, Joey was on the Today Show, and he told the hosts... what do you mean, Thursday? When was 4th of July?
Wednesday,
yeah. So he came on Thursday, the day after, and Joey Chestnut told the hosts, quote, "I don't feel great." I mean, I feel amazing that I won and I got a record, but like a marathon runner, you feel like garbage after a marathon.
Oh, God. His marathon was shoving like pork in his mouth. It's not like...
I'm just like, first thing he said, how do you feel, Joey? I don't feel great. It's marvelous.
Because, I mean, think about how do you get that many in your stomach? Like, that's a lot of 70 hot dogs and buns. I don't know how you get it in your stomach.
And how much of it vomits out and how much stays.
Yeah, I think you must vomit.
I wonder what his bowel movements are like over the next 2 days.
I don't think very good.
Because how many pounds is...
I'll ask.
How much is one hot dog and multiply that per poundage?
How many pounds are 72... how many? 74?
74, yeah.
Some information of...
How many pounds are 74 hot dogs with buns? How much does Joey Chestnut weigh?
Well, yeah.
Let's see. Weight of one hot dog with bun
is?
According to Metricosm, according to Nathan's website, one of their hot dogs weighs 3.5 ounces and has 280 calories.
So
70 hot dogs is 15 pounds.
19,600.
Wow! Joey then ate 16 pounds, just about.
And it says someone of Chestnut's age, 32, and weight 225 pounds, burns about 3,000 calories a day.
That's not a lot of calories compared to 16 pounds of pure animal snouts and beaver anuses. And the hilarious part is if you look at the women eaters who are eating 20 or 30 or 40 hot dogs, they're all slim. They're all svelte and cute and in great shape. And even some of the men were not. Some of the men were shaped like this guy right here.
Oh.
But I don't get how the women do it. They purge, or it just you have one big meal and it doesn't count. It's like if you're a good eater and you're healthy and you're mostly vegetarian, but then at the airport you have a Happy Meal, it doesn't count.
70 hot dogs, weighs over 15 pounds, and is 19,600 calories.
So is this shake, by the way. Well, it's very good. Thank you, dear.
Yeah, but if he burns 3,000 a day, he's eating almost 16, 17 days of 7 days of food in one day.
And don't forget, Joey Chestnut and some of these other competitive eaters,
look at that,
they don't just do this once a year.
70 hot dogs weighs about the same as an ample-sized Thanksgiving turkey.
God. Oh, my God. No, but think about it. Joey Chestnut is going to rest, and probably 2 or 3 weeks from now, he's got another contest. He's got to go somewhere and eat.
I hope not.
I'm not going to say French fries because that would be cruel.
I hope not.
He'll be eating turkey, or he'll be eating, barbecue beef, or he'll be eating radishes or something. Wow. Anyway, my hat's off to the great Joey Chestnut. And we were saying earlier in the program that he didn't seem like he had the fire in his belly this time. It didn't seem like he wanted to win, of course, but he didn't have that drive to I'm gonna break a record. So I thought, he'll do all right. And it's really hot and humid there. He'll do 60-something hot dogs, and it'll be a real horse race between him and Sankari and a couple of the other guys that they have there. But no, he did it. Joey Chestnut, American hero. No, seriously. I mean, we talk about people who died defending our country in World War II and Vietnam.
I don't think he's a hero.
George Washington.
I think competitive eaters are an oddity. I don't think it's healthy.
Really, you don't think the guy who went and found and shot Bin Laden? I mean, they have their place, but Joey Chestnut.
I'm reading about a CSU professor that falsified a job offer.
A job offer?
Yeah, I don't know. I have to read it.
Ooh, okay. Well, while you're doing that, let me kind of wrap up the show, because we've had a wonderful time. I hope you have had too, here in the neighborhood. And by the way, I'm not going to say welcome, but because we're sort of ending here, but Kristen and Joe and Joan and Steve and Fred and, well, 2 Freds actually, Robert and Wayne and all these other folks and all these wonderful comments. Thank you so much for tuning in every Saturday to the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. We do it here from Greeley, Colorado, my office at the University of Northern Colorado, and we're here for about 3 hours or so every Saturday morning. You can find out more at davesgoneby.com. DAVESGONEBY, davesgoneby.com. That is, of course, also the place where you can hear our archives. Every show that we have ever done is there. There's 1 or 2 or 3 that we had an audio problem, there was a technical glitch, we lost it. Sad. And some of the shows have some audio problems because equipment fails everywhere. But for the most part, you want to go hear a show that we did in 2003, it's there. You want to hear a show we did in 2008? There. You want to hear a show we did 2 months ago? It's all there. It's free. They're downloadable. They're streamable. They're podcasts. davesgoneby.com, the huge archive section, including an archive separately of just the interviews. So just like the wonderful conversation we had today with our new friend of the neighborhood, Tony Dufresne, you'll find that in the archive section, especially of davesgoneby.com. It's all there. There's photos from the show as well. Please visit it. Please tell your friends. And, of course, please tell people who aren't yet friends on Facebook to come to Radio Dave Lefkowitz. Like us, follow us, see us first on Facebook, and join us every Saturday morning. I do want to thank, therefore, Tony Dufresne. One more time, get a copy of his book. Do I have the copy of his book and listen to his podcasts, Surrounded by Idiots. Here he is. Drop the distractions, embrace your purpose, and get your ass in gear. Tony Dufresne, Ph.D., mind you. So we thank him, and he is now officially a friend of the neighborhood. I kind of hope he gets back. I mean, I know he's doing the podcast, but it'd be cool to hear him on regular radio, because you can hear he's got that voice and personality. He makes a great DJ. So thank him so much. Thank you to Rabbi Saul Solomon for doing that interview. Rabbi Saul, you can find out much, much more about him at his website, Shalom Dam... Excuse me. I need my shake. ShalomDammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, Shalom Dammit. This is a place, not only with his bio, but he's done dozens of mini sermons that you can read or listen to. They're called Rabbinical Reflections, and I think they're really fun. They're all archived at shalomdammit.com. His TV show, 10 episodes, that he did about 10 years ago for Long Island Cable TV, that's there. And even his stage show, Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon. You can watch that. It's on YouTube, and the link is at shalomdammit.com. Check it all out, please. I also want to thank, who else do I have to thank? Oh, this woman sitting here, unseen by you, but she was seen briefly on camera. Love her to pieces. She is my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. Yay! Say hello, Joyce.
Hello, Joyce.
That's my wife, and not just for the hour or two that she's with me generally doing this radio program, but every day, every moment, every week and second and year of my life. She is more than a friend. She is the love of the neighborhood.
You just say that because I got you a shake.
That's right. Well, yeah. If you hadn't gotten me the shake, I'd be like, yeah, thanks, Joyce, you know. And because she got me this shake, you are the love of my life and my soul. And of the show. And thank you again to the Potato, who took part in A Cow for Hansel and played a very believable veterinarian character, and to Mrs. Bakbagak for appearing as Hansel's mother. It was quite a show. Yeah. What else? Any more thank you? We probably have some amazing guests coming up in the weeks ahead. I can't tell you who they are yet because they're not set in stone. But if we're lucky and if things go right, we're going to have some really, really cool, artistic and clever and interesting people as guests on Dave's Gone By. How do you find out? Make sure you check us on Facebook make sure you check davesgoneby.com where we give you all the information. Well, it is about 20 to 1 in the afternoon here in Greeley, Colorado, Mountain Time, finishing up the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. I want to thank all the folks who took part. And I want to wish you a very happy, warm, it's going to be some warm weather out there this week, so dress inappropriately, especially if you're young and cute. What else? Oh yeah, I'm going to play one more time. Well, where is it? Oh, here it is. In honor of my wife, who's still sitting here, the Song of the Ages by Steve Ibsen that we discovered a week or so ago. I would, if I were you, go find the video on YouTube. It's adorable. But, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I may be a radio host, I may be a theater critic, an arts journalist, an editor, what have you, and an English teacher of sorts. But, at my best, I am also a sexy panda bear. And gone by.
I'm just a panda bear, sexy little panda bear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter. I'm just a panda bear, naughty little panda bear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter. I'm just a panda bear, sexy panda underwear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter. I'm just a panda bear, sexy little underwear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter.
Because deep in the forest of China, there's an irresistible panda. I want to make her mine. Oh, I want to slap her behind her. And every day I think of her with a panda nose and a panda fur. But she doesn't know who I am. No, she doesn't even know who I am.
I'm just a panda bear, sexy little panda bear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter. I'm just a panda bear, not a little panda bear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter. I'm just a panda bear, sexy panda underwear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter. I'm just a panda bear, sexy little underwear, and I'll dance for you if you give me a quarter.